Back again, man.
Dude, this is
How's it
awesome.
going? Yeah, man.
Doing good. How about you?
Man, I'm feeling all right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Friday.
Yeah.
Kind of a long week.
Yeah. I was hoping we'd be on at 5, live at 5, but push back a little bit.
It's the
I'm an old
traffic.
man,
hmm
so start pushing back closer to my bedtime. So
Well, it's
yeah.
daylight savings, so
Yeah.
is it really past your
Yeah.
bedtime? The
Yeah,
sun's still kind
that's
of out.
true. Yeah. But
So,
yeah, well, back again to the show. So I
yeah,
am Ryan Wheeler with United Residential Mortgage, and my main man over here.
I'm Austin Coots. I'm with Compass and Key Group of Real Broker.
So he's a real estate agent,
Yeah.
obviously. I'm a mortgage lender,
hmm
and we're here to just chop it up, man, talk a little
Yeah.
bit about real estate.
Yeah.
I think our focus is just to try to help make it a little less scary
hmm
to the general public,
Yeah.
right? Like,
And just talk about some stuff,
yeah,
like common stuff that comes up,
yeah,
things
yeah,
that
yeah.
kind of hit our desk on a repeated basis that
Yep.
it's like, all right, we should probably talk about
Yeah,
this,
yeah,
you
absolutely,
know?
man. Help people understand. Because I hear this a lot, man,
Yeah.
especially from first-time home buyers. You know, it's a scary process.
hmm
Um, it I think it intimidates a lot of people to
Yeah.
even start to try to get into the process. They don't know where to start, who to
Yeah.
talk to, and who to trust. You
Yeah.
got a lot of horror stories.
Yeah.
I think the bad stories tend to overshadow the good ones.
Well, isn't that kind of the rule though? Everyone or
Yeah.
someone talked about this statistic where it's like if you have someone had a good experience, they'll go tell one person. If somebody had a bad experience, they're going to go tell seven.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's
man.
just because the negativity
Yeah.
spreads super fast,
Yeah.
which is kind of sad. But
Yeah, I know.
you know,
It is sad. But yeah, so I think if we can just, shed a little light on what to look out for, because it is, don't get me wrong, like a lot of things can go wrong in a real estate
yeah,
transaction, you know what I mean?
yeah,
So I think if we can try to help people kind of navigate,
hmm
those pitfalls and just kind of shed a little light on that. Cause I mean, I tell people, so first time home buyers all the time tell me, I'm nervous about this process. I don't know where to start. I don't know
yeah,
what I'm doing. I'm freaking out. I tell them,
hmm
hey, you know what? If you're a second time buyer, you may have not bought a home for 8 years,
yeah.
right? I think that's the average now. Like
Is it?
every it's like
I
eight
thought it was
years. I think I
lower.
saw it used to be like every 4 or 5,
Yeah,
but now it's like you may only do it every 8 years.
yeah. I wonder if that has been affected by a lot of people that have bought before the COVID rates
100%.
refinanced, and now they're
That
prolonging that
that's
process.
that's exactly what I think happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, they refinanced into that. Yeah, they bought pre-COVID,
Mhm.
refied into a low rate,
Yeah.
and now here we are 5 years later,
Mhm.
and they're just, they're 8 years into their house that they probably wanted or thought about selling,
Yeah.
or like they at least the desire's there, but
Yeah.
they have a hard time putting the math together to
Mhm.
make that make sense for them to sell.
Well, I don't think that the selling process is scary for those people. I think that they're inherently thinking about what comes after they sell their houses.
Yeah,
They're not necessarily running the numbers on the sale; they're running the
right.
numbers on their next purchase.
Absolutely.
I think
Yeah.
that they're leapfrogging the sales process of
Yep.
just like, yeah, I know we're going to sell this house, blah blah blah,
Right.
and
Yep.
but
They
now they're like,
see.
oh, where are we going to go now?
Yeah, exactly. That's what everybody says.
Uh huh.
That's literally what everybody says that
Yeah.
owns a home. Like, I would love to move,
hmm
but where am I going to go? Or I would love to sell my
Yeah.
house, but where am I going to go? What am I going to do? I can't eat. I can't, So I feel like the only people that we're seeing right now that are making that jump are probably people that have to. They're got a growing family.
Yeah.
They're busting at the seams in their house. They need another bedroom.
Yeah.
Like it's almost they feel like it's forced. Like, hey, we got to do it.
Yeah.
They almost feel still timid about doing it, but know they have to. So they almost
Yeah.
feel forced into it. So I
Well,
try to help them.
this year has been weird. So, for those of you kind of watching this, like we're filming this right at the end of March.
Yeah.
And, for regular people that kind of work a job, that's not necessarily anything special. But for people that watch financial markets or small business owners, we like to break our year of performance in our organization into quarters.
Right.
So we're at the end of quarter one.
Yep.
And so kind of being able to reflect on these last 3 months, which
Yeah.
were the first 3 months of the year,
Right.
opening 2025 market. I mean, we've done a lot of transactions,
Yeah.
and it's a really interesting aggregate. We have people that are relocating from out of state. We had a few
Yep.
people relocate from out of state for different reasons. We have some young folks, we have some older folks, we have people that are coming from all kind of corners of the world to central Kentucky. And
Yeah.
it's all for, I think, different reasons. And none of them were because they had to.
Yeah.
surprisingly enough. Like, I think I had one buyer client that wanted to downsize their house because they got a really good rate and they ended up buying a house, right after COVID and they got a
Right.
great deal on it. And it was just too much house. And they
Yeah.
went down and they were a younger couple.
Yeah.
And so I think that don't feel like just because, you can just stay in the house, just don't move unless you have to,
Right.
because there are people that are still getting really good deals and that are
Absolutely.
still kind of crushing it as home
100%.
buyers.
Yes.
And because they're moving before they have to.
Yeah.
And because they're getting linked up with great mortgage
Yep.
professionals or real estate
Yep.
agents that are counseling them on, all right, you don't have to, which means you
Right.
have a really good hand.
Exactly.
Doing things before you have to do them makes your success rate go
Yeah.
so far up.
Yeah.
And a lot of our clients this year have actually kind of heeded that advice.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I
That's
think,
good to
yeah,
see.
there are
Yeah.
people that are moving because they have to,
Sure.
obviously. But I
Yeah.
think that this year we
Yeah.
saw,
Job relocation, stuff
yeah,
like that. That's
yeah,
kind of the have tos, I think,
hmm,
are job relocations or maybe like divorce or things
yeah,
like that,
hmm,
So
yeah,
those are kind of the have to, I think, situations.
yeah.
But um
That's a broad brush,
yeah,
you know?
yeah, exactly. So I think the question, I think what the general sentiment
Hmm,
is right now
yeah,
that I see is, or that I hear and see, is that people think it's a bad time to buy. So I've had people who
yeah.
literally
That's a
say,
major concern, right?
yeah,
It's kind of just like when
yeah,
we're talking about real estate related concerns,
right.
it's
They
one of
all,
the
yeah,
biggest
the
one is
general
like,
sentiment is it's a terrible time to buy. And
yeah,
I hear, and so I feel bad for some people that they have this sentiment. I have to, and once we talk and I kind of talk them through it, it helps a little bit, but they feel almost like I know it's a terrible time to buy, but we're
mhm,
having a new kid. We need a bigger house. I know it's a bad time to buy. I don't really want to do this, but I got to get a bigger home.
yeah.
So I hate that they have that mentality because then you kind of go into this process with just a lot of,
It's a lot of preloaded angst,
yeah, absolutely.
because they're
Yeah,
doing
that's a good way to
something
put
that
that.
they already don't want to do,
Yeah, exactly.
and so that's just not a good,
Uh-uh. No.
um, no, it's not
So
a
I
good
think that's
situation.
where what you said just a few minutes ago,
Mhm.
like it's important to work with the proper people,
Yeah,
the right real estate agent, the right mortgage lender, so
mhm,
they can help you,
yeah,
you know, you know, have the right knowledge
mhm.
so you can, better, ascertain your situation. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and well,
Like,
and just kinda help you play your hand,
yeah,
I'm gonna probably say, like, 50 different poker analogies, but, I mean, it's felt like that. The
yeah,
last couple of months
yeah,
has felt like a freaking poker table just
right,
because, there's been just a slew of just weird transactions because
right.
it's the beginning of the year, but, I mean,
A lot of
you're
bluffing.
yeah, well, seriously, dude, a lot of bluff, yeah, just got some cards up my sleeve.
Yeah,
But they're gonna help you play your hand. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah,
And so, like, if you are up the creek without a paddle and you're
right.
just trying to make something happen, like, yeah,
Yeah, you're trying to force feed it. Yeah,
you can probably do it, but do you wanna pinball your way through the canyon and
right.
figure it out and just kinda get to your resting place because
Yeah,
you're so tired you literally can't fight anymore? Or do you want to take a look at the final destination. Okay, so we want to get here. All right, so now let's work backwards. We're going to start with where we are and we're going to go through our planning process. We're
right.
going to get all of our ducks in the row before we even hit the road.
A strategy,
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
If you will.
the game plan.
Yeah, exactly, man.
And so like it's a very intentional way of going through real estate and
Yeah,
it breeds constant success.
yeah. And
We
you gotta have the right team to
Mhm.
help support that journey though,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, you
Because I
can't make a plan all by yourself by doing
no.
a mortgage calculator
Yeah,
online and being like, "This is what my payment's gonna be,"
right.
because you haven't you there's so much that goes into that.
Or getting with a real estate agent that doesn't
Mhm.
help you get the know all the dynamics of the market. They're just like,
Yeah, just
a
connecting with some rando on
glorified
Zillow.
yeah, and
Yeah.
they're a glorified, touring guide, I guess,
Mhm.
if you will, right?
Yeah.
Because those do exist. I
Ye
mean, let's be
yeah.
honest.
Mhm.
Same with my industry. You just got people just going through the motions, not
Mhm.
helping people understand, or,
Yeah.
and I think you probably hear it just as well as I do. Especially if they've talked to other people before. Oh, wow, thanks for sharing all this info with me. Nobody else has ever really talked to me about this, and they've
Yeah.
talked to other mortgage lenders, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Well, already talked to 2 other lenders. I talked to you. None of them told me all this information,"
Yeah.
And so that tells me, like, maybe not everybody's doing the best job they could do out there, or,
No. I mean, you hear the horror stories on Reddit or the Facebook comment section about,
yeah.
all of the bad things that have happened throughout a real estate transaction, and
Yes.
it reinforces the thing is that, like,
Yeah.
it's like every other industry, you're gonna have people that knock it out of the park every time,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
have people that
Like anything,
that are content with,
going
look at
through the
yeah,
motions.
just, like, getting on base or
Yeah.
button a single and,
Yeah.
just like, "Yeah, yeah, we made
Yeah.
it. There we go."
Yeah. No, we're swinging for the fence.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, hit bombs,
Yeah, all day.
all day.
Yeah, see, I can get with the baseball analogies.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
do like I play a little poker. Used to now. I'm older now, so I don't like to throw my money
If
away.
Mrs. Ryan Wheeler is watching this, he doesn't play poker anymore.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. So, yeah, man. So I think the team effort is huge here. And I think that, maybe
Mm.
addressing people's concerns probably should be part of this show. I think that, and the reason is I'm using just real life scenarios, what I'm hearing people probably over the last 6, maybe even 12 months, just everybody is so just uncertainty and elevated interest rates and
Yeah.
affordability. Obviously, affordability is a thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also leaning into the cons of getting into the real estate game
Yeah,
because, it's no secret. I'm a realtor. I own a real estate company and
right.
you're a mortgage lender. We
Yeah,
make money when we close houses.
right. We're gonna
So,
benefit from
yeah,
somebody purchasing real estate. Yeah,
absolutely. We're selling,
yeah.
on my end. So for those of you, watching and listening, like this isn't just to convince people to
To
do
buy.
real estate.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So this is really to address the complete real
yeah.
estate ecosystem for what it is. The
To be an
negatives.
advisor,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Like,
for the
may not be
negatives.
a good time to buy for everybody,
Yeah.
but for many people it is,
Yeah,
right?
it's never a good time to buy for everybody,
Exactly.
because there's so much nuance to everybody's life situation and their location and
Correct.
all of the things that are encompassing.
Yeah,
It's like working out. It's like, is
yeah,
it a good time to work out? I don't know. Like,
yeah.
tell me your
Exactly.
story.
That's why I do kind of hate it when I hear mortgage people and realtors say, "It's a great time to buy." I'm like,
Yeah.
it can, but that
Mhm.
might come with caveats, right?
Mhm.
Like if you have an unstable job or, you know what I mean? Like there could be a variety of reasons, right? That it might not be a good time for you to buy.
I just thought of this question when you said that is how many people bought during the height of COVID have a 2% interest rate and it still wasn't a good purchase?
Yeah.
Do you think that people out there exist that had purchased during the COVID height and maybe it was their first house or
And
second house?
they still feel buyer's remorse.
They either feel buyer's remorse or it was legitimately not a good idea for them to
Yeah.
purchase that house.
Yeah, absolutely.
You think people like there's enough people out there that
I th-
bought at the height of the best time to buy for a
right.
buyer, and they still was a bad deal, or it was still a bad time for them to buy.
I do think those people exist.
Yeah,
Yeah. I do.
fewer than now, of course, but I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
at,
You're saying right before COVID or during COVID?
at any point in
Now, if
time,
they bought right before COVID, like in the 2000, I know people
yeah,
that bought right at the end of 2019,
yeah,
and I talked to them after closing. We're following up with
hmm
clients, and they had buyer's remorse, right? And this was at the end of 2019. But wait, so
there's more.
year later, 2 years later, I'm still following up, touching base. Hey, I know like you weren't real happy about the house, you got a little buyer's remorse,
Hmm
but how do you feel now? Like you feel about, oh yeah, our house doubled in price. Like we're so happy that we
We're
bought
rich
this
now.
house.
What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
right. Like I bought this house for 150. It's now
Yeah.
worth 250.
hmm
Like nah, we can take some of the good with the bad,
hmm
So like those things
Yeah.
kind of change your
Yeah.
mindset a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah. So I think that's what I'm saying. These perspectives can change over time
Yeah.
too. Once you maybe realize. Um,
Yeah, perspectives, but also I was just thinking about like not necessarily like their opinion of whether or not they
okay.
enjoyed their purchase, but like straight up like ironclad facts.
Did
Like
they get a good deal?
was it a good purchase
Right.
or did that home purchase like put them in a bad position?
Yeah.
Even if it was maybe a good deal, even if it was maybe a good rate and a good house because they weren't prepped and
I
because they
think
weren't
so.
ready to purchase a
Absolutely.
house.
100%.
Yeah.
Hear me out on this and
Okay.
maybe you can maybe tap in on this too.
Mhm.
Yes, because I think that what happened during COVID, if they bought during COVID,
Yeah.
right? We had so many, but think about it, when rates dropped to twos and threes,
Mm.
it created this huge spike in demand.
Mhm.
So you got 10 people lining up at the front door of every house to make an offer, right?
Mhm.
And so what sellers have all the leverage in that
Mm.
situation. So what can sellers do in that situation? They could say, we're only accepting an offer if you waive your home inspection,
Mhm.
right?
Common.
Gotta waive the home inspection. Are
They
you
were doing that in
kidding me?
22.
So imagine you buy a house waiving a home inspection. You don't know all these problems you get. So in those situations, I think a lot of people had a lot of bad purchases
Yeah.
because they saw the low rates
Mhm.
and they wanted to take advantage of it.
They
And
just wanted to buy a house.
yeah,
I need to
it's
stick my name on a deed somewhere,
it's
and
spiked
I want that
demand.
interest to be
Yes,
3%,
exactly.
and we can buy a house
And that
now.
was the Fed's motivation, right? They
Mhm.
knew they saw the writing on the wall with COVID. It was going to have an impact on the economy. They didn't
Mhm.
want the real estate market to sink. So, what does the Fed do? They don't control mortgage rates, but they buy mortgage backed securities.
Yeah.
So, they buy quantitative easing, things like so they basically use the Federal Reserve's money.
It's $10 word.
Yeah, yeah,
Got a
exactly.
$5 brain right here.
Yeah, yeah.
Quantitative.
Yeah,
Whoa.
quantitative easing. So it's like
Yeah.
they're basically using Fed money, Treasury money to purchase mortgage-backed securities.
Yeah.
And so when you buy these mortgage-backed securities, it drives the prices of them down, these
Mhm.
mortgage-backed, which are bonds basically.
Yeah.
So the more that get purchased,
Mhm.
the more the price goes down. That means the interest rate goes down to the consumer.
Okay.
They know how to indirectly control rates
So
by
you're saying it's the Fed's fault right now?
Man, I think that, they spiked the demand and caused hyperinflation in home prices.
Hmm.
Yes.
Interesting.
So it could be sliced two ways. Here's the thing though. I understand where they were coming from
Yeah.
because in that moment they were like, "Oh shit, what do we do?"
Yeah, I
You know
feel
what I
like
mean?
you're
When
you're
COVID
you're
hit and the
you're kinda
economy
damned if you
froze
do
up,
and damned if you
I
don't.
know. The economy locked up and they
Mhm.
just didn't know what to do. They said, "Hey, what do we know to do? How can we keep, we gotta drive prices down. So let's start." So they used a tool in
Yeah.
their tool belt that they had, and they did this after the '08 financial crisis. The same exact thing they did.
Really? That's so
Yeah.
crazy.
So they
So
bought
rates
more.
were really low down,
Yes,
like in
threes in
Jeez.
'09. 10, no, maybe it was 10, 9 and 10, they started to do this, quantitative easing where they're purchasing mortgage-backed securities. They did the same thing. And so they drove, I mean, their rates were in the threes in
Dang.
'09. So this is why I tell people, like when they say, "Man, I wish rates would drop back down to the threes,
Mhm.
to the threes or fours or twos like they were." And I'm like, "Man, if you look back historically,
I was in 8th grade when that happened, by the way.
where you yeah.
I
So
was, like, just, like, chilling and, like, the market had just crashed, and my parents are probably just like, "Oh my god,
what
what are
the
we gonna
hell?"
do?"
Yeah,
And I'm just
exactly.
like, "Can I get some chicken nuggets, please?
Right.
We
Yeah.
could use some more Code Red Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
Get out to the shop, lady."
Yeah, no, exactly, man. So yeah, but like, and that's a lot of people in your age group, like in your age group, you guys are the ones coming in buying homes now. Like you hear the financial crisis, the market crash, but you don't. So like when you look back, so I tell people like look at the times when the mortgage rates were the lowest. It
Yeah.
was right after literally economic catastrophes, right?
Yeah.
'08 financial crisis, the mortgage, feds bought mortgage-backed securities, drove down the interest rates. So we had rates in the threes and fours. It spiked a little demand. It started to get the housing market back a little bit. Still took some time. It drove up demand, and then they did it during COVID again. But so that's why I tell people, be careful what you wish for. You
Yeah.
want lower interest rates.
Well,
That
that's
requires
where I'm
an
going with
economic
this next
crash.
yeah, that's where I'm going with the next question is, do you think we're headed that way again?
I don't think we are. Um I think that unless we had some sort of a like isolated crisis that we didn't expect. I think they've seen this pattern now. I
Mhm.
think most of the Fed members would admit they probably drove price rates down too fast and
Yeah.
created this hyperinflation, which is what created hyperinflation as well,
Well,
right? Like
the pendulum swings.
yeah,
So as when it's going one way, like, and everyone's like, "Yay, just give it a second."
right.
You're gonna
Exactly.
have to pay off that credit card.
Yeah, exactly, and that's kinda what's happening, man.
Yeah.
That's ultimately what's happening, you gotta pay that credit card off at some point. So, they drove it down, we had these low rates, yeah, you took advantage, people refinanced, people bought homes, it created this huge spike in demand,
Mhm.
but it created a situation that they probably didn't expect, which
Yeah.
was we haven't bounced back in housing inventories since the '08 market crisis. So, builders have been, for the most part, very a lot of builders went out of business after '08, right?
Yeah.
It caused a lot of builders to go out of business. And so builders ever since '08, we're still been trying to rebuild that inventory
Yeah.
since '08 market crash because most builders stopped building and they're not meeting the population growth
Mhm.
demand. Like if you
Yeah.
look at the tables, the growth in housing isn't meeting the growth in population.
Well,
And
and not
so
just
in housing
population, but
housing formations, that's what
yeah.
really.
Well, the other thing though is that don't do you think that the cultural impact of COVID has sparked another new wave of home buyers that would have previously been content renting or living in a more urban sprawled area or urban built up area?
Yes.
And do you think that culturally it sparked a new wave or a new subgroup of people that are like, "Oh, no, we don't wanna live in LA anymore.
Yeah.
You know, let's go get a house."
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna tell you, my number one, like, buyer request when it's, someone who's coming from out of state or
Yeah.
someone who may be looking for their second home, the number one thing is, "Oh, we want a house with land."
I know,
And
man. I hear it
it's
all the time. Yeah.
it is the I think it's the byproduct of the lockdown and the,
Yeah.
really oppressive, like, metropolitan regulation for the
Yep.
COVID stuff, and I think culturally, a lot of people that probably weren't set to purchase a home
Right.
until 5, 10 years from now, they're like, "No, real estate,
Rates are
man.
low.
The
Gotta
rates are
buy.
or rates are low,
Absolutely.
gotta buy," and then they saw what happened to all the people that bought when pre-rate drop
Mhm.
and all the instant equity they got in their
Yeah.
homes, and they're like, "We want some of that."
Yeah.
Like, and now also, I think everyone was kinda locked inside, tied to a screen during
Yeah.
COVID. So we had, I mean, in let's just say for all intents and purposes, the lockdown was for like that 12-month period from 20 to
Right.
21. There were still areas that were like locked down or
Right.
restricted, but like
For the
by and
most part.
large, it was like a
Yeah.
12-month period where pretty basically the majority of the population was doing nothing.
Right.
We're kind of just
Yeah.
twiddling our thumbs, and where do people go? On their phones. And they
Yep.
start looking at the TikToks and the reels and the shorts. There's a lot of content creators that target people based off of like FHA promotions or
Yep.
like realtors or mortgage lenders that make content, and
Yep.
they capture a portion of the market by telling people on, the popular platforms of like, "Oh, you can buy a house with 0 down."
Right.
Most people don't know that. And most people can.
Yeah.
Or whether it's like, you buy a house with 0 down, or you can
Yeah.
have seller pay your closing costs, or all these little
Right.
tips and tricks to like get into home
Yeah.
ownership. And I think people find like during that period had just like a short period of time where they could stop working and look at their phone for a little
Right.
bit or just look at whatever screen they were in front
Yeah.
of. And a lot of people were trying to figure out, all right, how do we get around this
Yeah.
regulation? How do we get around the lockdown? How do we go away from the place that we're at right now that's not that fun?
Right.
So I think there's probably a lot more people in the market now that probably would have never thought about buying a house
Yeah.
until the COVID, lockdown.
Yeah.
And I think that definitely affected the inventory, not just the accessibility of home
Yeah.
purchasing with the rates, but also culturally,
Yeah.
people who were maybe like
Right.
happy in their apartment complexes
Yeah.
were like, screw this, man.
Yeah. Let's go
Like,
buy a house.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
tired of people telling me that I can't go outside.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think also too, man, if you look at like a good indicator that a lot of these economists and data analysts look at
Hmm.
to determine demand
Yeah.
is housing formations, and the government actually tracks this housing formations, which is age and new families being
So
formed.
different than rock formations, correct?
Yeah, exactly. It's one of the biggest predictors in real estate purchases, housing
Okay.
formation. Think about it, I mean, if you're a single male, you don't have a wife and kids, like most of those people, they ain't, for the most part, they're not trying to buy a house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're just cool with your apartment. Maybe you
Hmm.
buy a condo, maybe, but
Yeah.
you're just gonna buy an apartment. But then all of a sudden you get married,
Hmm.
the wife wants a house, right?
Yeah.
Like she wants a house. Now you're gonna have a kid.
Yeah.
Now, oh, we need to buy a house now, right? So
Yeah.
it gets onto. So it is probably a pretty decent indicator of future. So when you can track new housing formations with families and
Yeah.
kids, and even if it's we're kind of in a different side now, so it doesn't necessarily have to be marriage. A lot of people are just living together as
Yeah.
partners, but they still have kids, right?
Mhm.
And so I think that is probably one of the biggest predictors. So millennials represents a huge part of the population. It's
Mhm.
like almost like same similar size or maybe same, right, as baby boomers.
Yeah.
So you see them getting into some of their, like their maturing years of a job,
Mhm.
and I think that wave kind of rolled in
Mhm.
right around that same time,
Yeah.
during COVID, and so it
Mhm.
created that demand. So you had all this culmination of all of these factors, man, that just created this insane demand,
Yeah.
which then drove home price. So now we were just talking about it right before this.
Mhm.
Home prices in the last 5 years have went up 50% at
Yeah.
least
Yeah.
nationally.
Yeah.
In some cases
I
100% in
know, and
Kentucky.
in our market, it
In
doubled.
Kentucky, 100%,
Yeah,
right?
our
Double.
market home
Yeah.
prices doubled literally.
Yeah, so
And
think about that nationally. So when you
mhm.
start talking about nationally, the numbers are going to generally represent much lower. So 50% nationally, that's insane.
Mhm.
100% in our market, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Which is crazy,
Yeah.
And
Well,
this
our
is
market was far below the national average to begin with.
absolutely
So
exactly.
so
Yeah.
like we had we had some catching up to do. And
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, truth be
Agreed.
told, I people complain about it in our market a lot,
Yeah.
and I really like to look at it as a blessing in disguise
Yeah.
because I think that Central Kentucky, we live in Elizabethtown. That's where we
Yep.
do a lot of our business in Hardin County. I think it drives a lot of progress. I think that because we have a lot of new development in our area,
Yep.
our little town or our little city is kind of happening right now. We're getting all
Yep.
this new, improved stuff. People from all over the country are moving to where we live and
Right.
kind of really building on the community. And yeah, home prices are double than what they were 3, 4 years ago.
Hmm.
Let's say 5 years ago. They're
Yeah, let's
double
say
than what they were 5 years.
2020. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, salaries are improving. Salaries in
Yeah.
our area haven't quite matched
They
the
haven't
home,
quite caught up
not
yet.
quite,
They
but
will,
they will. And I think
because
that's
more
good.
business creates more competition, means you got to
Yes.
pay your people more
Yeah,
to keep
well,
them.
but the other part is that it also drives our community to pitch at a higher level.
Yeah.
Like we're, perform at a higher level where like everyone is starting to be like, hey man, I got to
Yeah.
get out and make some money if I want to buy a house.
Yeah.
Or I gotta elevate. I gotta work a little bit. Maybe not work harder because
Right.
we come from a really hardworking community, but
Yeah.
I need to find a curveball. I need to go get education.
Yeah.
Something I was talking to one of the chief academic officers over at ECTC,
Mhm.
and their enrollment rates
Yeah.
super high.
Yeah.
And but the
Well, they got a
other
lot of cool work ready programs too, which a lot
yeah
of people don't even know about. This
oh
Kentucky
yeah
trade for trades.
hmm
You can literally get your education for free.
we gotta have that
Kentucky,
dude on here
huh?
to talk about it. We got
Yeah.
his name's
I
Telly.
mean,
He's a
a
really
lot of
good
people
guy.
don't even understand this, dude.
Hmm
Like, you can go get
Yeah.
a trade. Like, you don't have to go to a traditional 4-year school. In fact, it's probably not the best thing for most people.
It's like home buying. It's like home
Yeah.
buying. It's not the best for everybody.
No. And they
Uh,
used to for when I was coming up,
yeah,
we got force fed that.
yeah,
Right? In school, I was force fed that if I didn't go to college, I
yeah,
wasn't going to have a successful life,
yeah.
basically.
And I
You
mean,
know?
I'm younger than you, but same thing. It's
Yeah.
like you got to go to college if you want to go make it,
Yeah.
and be successful.
Yep.
And I don't know. Like the other thing, the enrollment rates are up for ECTC. But what's even a better number is their completion rates. People are staying in college. They're completing.
That's the
Their
key.
That's the key.
That's
So
the key. When I
more,
hear enrollment
they're
rates,
they're
that's the number I wanted to hear,
yeah,
because when you tell me enrollment
their
rates, I need to
conversion
hear.
ratio,
Yeah.
ECTC actually has one of the highest completion ratios from like applicants enrollments to
Yeah.
people that finish
Yeah.
across the
That's
country.
yeah, that's
Our little
huge.
community college in Little Central
That's
Kentucky, we
amazing.
have
Yeah.
probably one of the most diverse education programs that covers such a broad
Yeah.
range. And there's like satellite campus there that connects to 4 year degrees, so you can
Yeah.
do your whole four
So you
years
can do
to a
the 4
bachelor's.
years,
Yeah.
you've got nursing, you've got
Mm-hmm.
tech schools,
Yeah.
and that's the thing, think about it, if you're a company
Mm-hmm.
trying to move in, what's probably like, especially a large, like a manufacturer or something, you
Like
need white
Ford,
collar and blue
like
collar.
Louisville.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're looking at that community and
Mm-hmm.
saying, "Hey, do we have a community of
Mm-hmm.
educated employees?"
Yeah.
And we're gonna be looking to poach a lot of these employees from other companies
Yeah.
that are underpaying them and have been underpaying them for years,
Yeah.
right? And we saw that happen. As soon as Ford started to come in,
Yeah.
you started to see some of these other factories. I'm not going to name any names. All of
Yeah.
a sudden, their pay rates started to go up.
Mhm.
You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Because Ford was basically like, "All
Yeah,
right,
we're going to come in and pay
we're
you.
taking all comers. Come
Yep.
on in. We wanna go local first." But they also set up an academy, a campus at the technical college.
Yeah.
So they put money into the local education system so that they can have their own homegrown workforce,
Yeah.
which, yeah, it's really good for the company. big whoop. Ford's gonna make money.
Yeah,
What
but
else is new?
that's
But
what
what's
benefits
what's
all
even more
parties.
impactful is that there are like teenagers who see instead of like they're gonna go work at the Kroger or they're gonna go
Right,
work on a farm or do whatever,
right,
like these, kids are gonna get a chance to start training in high school, start training and getting certified in multiple different
right.
vocations, but like as teenagers or early 20s. And I mean, they're going to be crushing national average and household income before they turn
Absolutely.
30.
Yeah, and that
And
wasn't necessarily the case, yeah.
no, no.
Yeah,
And so I think, to kind of put a bow on it is
yeah.
like home prices in general in our area have doubled and there's a lot of growth. And
Right.
there are cons to that,
Yeah,
obviously, but I think overall, long term, it's a good thing
yeah,
because it really improves the community, I think.
absolutely.
It's way more benefits
Yeah,
for
yeah,
everybody
and if you're
around.
creating all these jobs and yes, right now, maybe your income maybe a larger percentage of your income does have to go to housing. We have
Yeah.
to but we have to
Mhm.
swallow that, right?
Mhm.
But that's the thing, you buy the house now,
Yeah.
you lock in that payment, that rate, you know what you got now,
Yeah.
and as over the years go by, your income will grow, especially
Yeah.
if you're in your 20s, man,
Well,
you
it's
start.
attainable.
Yeah,
It's still attainable now, and
yeah,
that's the key because I think I saw a metric a while ago is that the net worth of homeowners is 10x of
yeah,
somebody who is
yes,
like
that is true,
a
that's
renter.
facts.
Yeah.
Big facts.
Yeah. So even if, yeah, for their first couple years as
Yeah,
you're starting out, you're building,
yeah,
like, do you want to go and spend your money on going out and, eating the
exactly.
junk food and partying and having a good time? Or do you want to grind it out for a few years when you're young and you got it like that? You got the energy, you got the drive.
Yes.
And as you start nearing your 30s, you start nearing your 40s, like you are secure. And you're
Right.
not just secure, but you're thriving. And if you have a
Yes.
family, your family's thriving. If you don't have a family, cool, go buy
Yeah.
night vision.
Right.
Like go do whatever stupid stuff you
Yeah.
want to do, man. But
Yeah.
like, think
No,
of the
I
future.
I I agree with that. That's that what you said though too is kind of the thing. Kind of a roundabout way of saying, "Hey man, you may have to restructure your budget and your
Yeah.
priorities a little bit,
Yeah.
right?
Reset your
Like a little
expectations.
more of that money that you were using to eat out might have to be allocated towards your housing now,
Yeah.
And it's just it's a reframing of mindset, but if you talk to people like you said you've lived out west.
Yeah.
We were just talking
I
to
was
somebody.
just gonna say that because people spend
They're used
a
to it.
massive amount of housing just to rent,
Yeah.
just to get a nice apartment in a nice neighborhood that's close to stuff. Like people spend an insane amount of their budget on housing, and that's for rental.
Yeah.
In Kentucky, man, like we're able to still spend a decent amount of our paycheck towards housing,
Right.
but that's ownership in
Yeah.
housing. That's not even the same league,
Right.
man, in terms of like where that cost is being allocated and the
Yeah.
long term
Yeah.
gains that you can get from that,
Yeah,
man.
because short term, renting's gonna be cheaper. I mean, it just is what it is. Short term,
Yeah,
right? Month to month, that rental payment is gonna be less than your mortgage payment.
like
But long term,
depends on the house,
it's
depends on the location.
yeah.
2 years ago in our area when Blue Oval was blown up, rentals were nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
They've
like,
moderated a little bit because 'cause they've
yeah,
overbuilt,
yeah,
but in our area,
uh-huh,
but still, I'll just make the
yeah,
general statement. I know case
yeah,
by case, maybe some
yeah.
you
That's a good
might
point.
be just as the same to buy,
Hmm.
but let's just say generally speaking, I think on a month to month basis, if you're just looking at your nose in front of you,
Mhm.
maybe renting is cheaper on a month to month.
Yeah.
But if you want to look a little more further,
Mhm.
there's no question that buying a house is the way to go. Like, there's no
Yeah.
question, man. You
Yeah.
know,
If you wanna play chess or you wanna play checkers.
exactly. That's really what it
Yeah.
comes down to. You just
Yeah.
have to have a little more you just gotta look a little bit further than what's just right in front of you.
Yeah.
And I get it, man. I know, like, it's tough. People are living paycheck to paycheck in many
Mhm.
cases, but you have to sit down
Mhm.
and it's the B word, man, the budget, you know what I mean? Like, it's tough.
So
I
you're
get it.
telling me I can't buy my 4th battle pass in a night.
Yeah, exactly.
Dang
You
it.
might not need a you might need to rethink a $1,500 car payment, while you're
Okay,
living in an apartment.
if I can't get 40-inch rims with my
Yeah,
tax return and
or
finance the rest of
the
it,
$100,000 dually might have to wait, you know what I'm saying?
dude, I need this for work to go to my office. I need my lifted
Yeah,
truck.
to drive to my job that I get in another,
I say that
company
hilariously
vehicle.
because I drive a truck
Yeah.
and I work in an office.
Yeah,
It is
yeah.
solely for like
Yeah.
pleasure that I have this vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah, but like that's what I'm saying. So it's like, I talk to people and they're like, man, we start talking about payments like, hey, for this price point, let's say your average price point is 250,000. in our area,
Yeah.
right? And I think if somebody listened to that, that was from the West Coast, they'd be like, "Oh my God, that's it?"
Yeah.
So again, it's a
How
reframing of
how long
perspective,
would it
right?
take to buy every house in this town?
Yeah, exactly. But when we go over those payments, they're like, "My God, that's so high,"
Mhm.
compared, I'm only paying this rent now,
Mhm.
$100,000 or whatever, but then they got a $1,200 car payment. Like, your car payment shouldn't be more than your house payment. Like that, you
No.
know, it just shouldn't. So
No.
it's just, again, you just have to and I'm not trying to point fingers at anybody or trying to shame
Yeah, I
anybody.
feel attacked.
It's just huh? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not
Throwing
trying to attack
throwing
anybody.
shade in my
It's
raptor.
yeah, it's just you gotta learn that, hey man, we gotta reframe our mindset,
Yeah.
and our perspective on what percentage of our income is needs to go to housing and where we gotta trim some fat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
and I think just to kind of find a little bit more direction, because I feel like we've been dancing around it a little bit, is like, all right, we've been kind of talking about what's been happening in regards to the COVID and like there's a bunch of people buying and the rates are kind of weird. And like, okay, so I mean, at the end of the day, why, with things being what they are, why
yeah.
should anyone buy a house? You
Yeah.
know?
Why should somebody buy a house right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's a question in a lot of people's mind.
Hmm.
Why should I buy a house right now? Rates are so high, home prices are high.
Yeah.
Well, the
You're getting
first
it on
thing,
both ends, you
yeah,
know?
and people will say, well, rates are high. I'm gonna wait for rates to at first it was I'm gonna wait for home prices to come down.
Yep.
And I think that was in 22, that was
Dude,
like the big thing. Like,
every
we're gonna
time.
wait for home prices to come down. And here we
Did
are.
they go down?
Yeah, yeah. They I mean, even just last year, which was one of the slower years in home sales,
Yeah.
it was like last year was like the slowest, I think the lowest number of home sales in like 20 or 30 years.
For some
And
people.
appreciation still went up like 5%.
Hmm.
So that $300,000 house last year is now worth 315,000,
I saw
right?
someone talking about this a few weeks ago, actually, because
Yeah,
the number of transactions went down, but the volume of real estate
right.
went up.
Went
And
up.
that just
And
tells you that more people are doing more high dollar transactions.
right,
The appreciation schedule is still very strong.
right.
But the people who were just kind of limping into home
Because of low
purchasing
rates.
because of low rates, those people have been
Yeah.
priced out of the market
Yes.
now, and now
Getting more
we're
normalized.
well, we're just back to the same people who were buying before,
Right.
which is kind of sad because I think homeownership should be accessible to,
It should.
you
And
know,
I get the feeling sometimes that the American dream and homeownership is slipping away for a lot
yeah,
of people.
hmm,
I talk to people all the time and they're having a hard time swallowing, like,
it
these
feels
price
hopeless.
points. And
Yeah,
yeah, it does, man. Especially like the most heartbreaking ones for me are like single moms. They've got one income.
yeah,
They're a single mom. They want to
hmm,
buy a house and create something for their child, but they can't find their income just isn't quite enough to support it's hard to find homes in those price points based on their modest income. This could be on a $60,000 income.
yeah.
I mean, like,
We What's funny? We closed one of those like a month and a half ago.
yeah,
Actually, it was on Valentine's Day
yeah,
that we closed, and it was a single mom,
yeah,
and the biggest question mark in her budgeting was childcare.
yeah.
That was the number
I know.
one like sucker of, because everything else like total grown up, great
Right.
credit score,
Yeah.
good savings, good career. Like if it was she didn't have to try and future budget for childcare,
Right.
she could have been
Yeah.
purchasing a completely different caliber of house.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is even with the home prices, and this kind of feeds into like, why do you even want to buy a house right now?
Right.
Like, why should I even try?
Yeah.
Stories like her.
Yeah.
And that's specifically because she called in, we did our regular consult, and like she was initially just like kind of hopeless about it. And
Right.
um
But she took the step. Most people that are
yeah,
hopeless about it
yeah.
they don't even try to reach out to somebody,
Yeah.
you know?
I mean, it was kind of luck of the draw. Like
Yeah.
she came in through the internet. So
Yeah.
for an agent, like you don't know who you're getting. And
Right.
also as a person, you don't know who you're getting.
Right.
So
Can be
like it
scary.
was cool that we got connected
Yeah.
because we worked really well together, and we did everything we could to make it work.
Yeah.
And it did work,
Yeah.
and also her timing couldn't have been better because who's buying houses in February? Almost nobody.
Right. So as a
February, like
buyer, that gives you a lot of leverage.
ton of leverage because the rates
But
I
that's
think were,
contrary to popular belief.
yeah.
And
Well,
they
you can if you work with the right person and you have the right plan put in place, you can create leverage out of anything.
yeah,
And the feeding into, like, why even look towards home purchasing or try to aspire for that is because it's definitely still possible. Like,
yes,
being able to purchase a home, get a good deal, and start somewhere, it is still 100%
100%.
attainable, even for someone who's, like, a single parent or someone who's, just
Yeah.
recovering in credit or doesn't have a ton of money on
Or
hand,
fresh out of
you know?
school and they're a
Mhm.
new teacher on a small
Yes,
salary. Like
yes.
I've got a client right now just like that. And
Mhm.
she's being patient. She's locked in, found a house,
Yeah,
There
yeah.
she's not going to be able to shop in the higher price point, but that's not what she wants. She wants a
There
starter home,
there are homes out there that are perfect starter homes that if
Absolutely.
you work with the right person to make it work and
Yeah.
someone who can negotiate the right details,
Right.
because that's where the devil
Yeah.
lies, man. And so many of these, like, can we make it work or can't
Right.
we? Is your person gonna go into the nitty-gritty and look at the house for what it is, look at the house for what you need it to, and also, like, coach you through
Right.
what that sequence is gonna look like.
Yep.
And for in this particular instance, like, everything worked out right,
Yeah.
and we were able to close, and, she's, like, updating all the little insides, and, everything is looking super pretty, and,
Yep.
she's super happy, and it's a good little house,
Yeah.
it's built in the
Yeah.
'70s, it's a little brick ranch, and it's gonna be a great starter home. She's
Yep.
gonna build a ton of equity, and then in a couple of years, she's gonna make some money when she sells it.
Absolutely. No question about that. I mean, the
Mhm.
appreciation rate, I think people tend to forget about that.
Yeah.
They think that their house, the appreciation all comes from paying their principal down on their
Mhm.
loan. It
Nope.
doesn't. It actually just comes what we call couch equity. Just sitting on your couch, your
Yeah.
house is worth more. It's basically inflation on
Yeah.
housing, right?
Yeah.
And you can take advantage of that by locking in on a house. Now, that's why you don't wait for rates to if you are in a so is buying a home right now a good idea? If you have a stable job,
Yeah.
you got a little money saved,
Mhm.
you're in that position, you don't wait for rates. But if
No.
you don't feel you're a little insecure about your job or,
Yeah.
you don't have the right money saved or maybe
Yeah.
your credit's not where it needs to be, maybe it's not right for you at
Yeah.
this time. Maybe you probably need to speak with somebody to help you put up a strategy together, even if
Yeah.
you're 12 months out, right?
Yeah. Sit
But
down for a consult so you can
yeah,
get just so you can get in the right mindset
yeah.
because you
Game
like
plan to know it's
yeah.
feasible and possible. And
Yeah, because if you can't get in the right mindset, you can't set the appropriate
yeah,
expectations for
I
your home
tell most of
purchase.
my clients that most people I talk to, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we may not be able to do something today,
Yeah.
right? But if we can do something maybe next year,
Mhm.
I can set you on a path,
Yeah.
whether it's to, a savings path or getting your credit right or getting you in a position.
How many Americans contacted a mortgage lender and were immediately disqualified based off of either credit score, income, or any of the other disqualifying factors and were just turned loose
Yeah.
and now walked away from that mortgage office or the bank with a
Yeah.
hopeless feeling
With
like, well,
can't do this.
guess I'm never going to buy a
Yeah,
house
guess
now.
yeah, I know.
And I think that's a testament to how you're running your business where you're not thinking about just a quick dollar.
No.
The important aspect is that you're actually like, okay, no, this is how you get here.
Right. Yeah.
I'm willing to keep you in the loop
Yeah.
for a year, year and a half,
Yeah.
working to, I mean, we had one close not long ago where you were working with this guy for a year.
A
He's a
year. Got
veteran.
their credit right,
Yeah.
got their
Mm-hmm.
yep, employment in the right situation. They had a
Yeah.
few things they had to work out. It's gonna
Yeah.
take some time.
Yeah.
Can't do it now, but
Yeah.
we can do it later. We just we set that plan into motion. But that's why you gotta work with the right people to
Mm-hmm.
help you kinda get into that mindset. You're right, man. I mean, a lot of people I talk to people constantly who have talked to some mortgage lender and they basically were given the speech of hopelessness,
Yeah. That's so
and
lame, dude.
yeah, and luckily, maybe they somehow got tapped in. Maybe they talked to, a realtor,
Yeah.
somebody, and then you put, hey, just talk to this guy, have a conversation. They didn't, I don't think we can do this. They have a conversation. Next
Yeah.
thing you know, they're like, oh, wow, maybe I can't buy today, but, it looks like I'm 3 months out or 6 months out
That's
or
what I
whatever.
tell most of my clients that come in for because we have just our whole step in
Yeah.
our process that's just dedicated to consult,
Yeah.
where we're getting into all of the little details. It's a get to know you period. Like we're not even signing forms yet. It's just like, let's just figure out what you're trying
Right.
to do,
Yeah.
really. And what comes up within the first like 20, 30 minutes of each of those transactions is have you talked to a lender yet?
Yeah.
Have you had the money talk?
Yeah.
Because talking dollars when it comes to somebody else's money is super icky
Yeah.
and it's really uncomfortable, but it's such a vital portion because
So vital.
I can take you to the table and I can show you how to play your hand until the cows come home.
Right.
We can come at something from a different angle. We can factor in different numbers, write different offers. We can
Yep.
shop and find the right deal. Not a one thing of it makes a difference if you can't sit down with a lender first and
Yeah.
get qualified
I know.
and but also get in
People
the
get
right.
freaked out by that though, man. Like
Yeah, it's
something
scary.
about talking to a mortgage person, like
Mhm.
it, I've had people admit it to me. So that's why I'm like, oh, I didn't really want to like this is kind of freaks me out about this. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I promise you, it's not gonna be as scary as what you think it is. And I think that in their mind, they're thinking some stuffy banker with his tie, you know what I mean? Like,
If you
you
don't
know,
qualify for the home loan, then you go right to jail.
yeah, exactly.
Like,
Like
it's a
it's
super punitive process, but it's not.
right.
I mean, it doesn't even hurt your credit score that much
Now
to
you
run a
might talk to some
pre-approval.
people that might take that perspective, but again,
Yeah.
this also matters who you talk to.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
so you could walk into your local bank, and you might get that treatment, because you're
Yeah.
probably gonna. And honestly, in a local bank, you might be another number. You
Mhm.
know, that's why you got to get with a mortgage pro who is not maybe necessarily just looking at you as another number.
Yeah.
They're trying to incubate clientele.
Yeah.
'Cause at the end of the day, man, I think we kind of operate the same way. Like, if you do the right thing and help guide people the right way, the
Mhm.
money will come. And I think that's why a lot of people, like you said, like if they're not right then, you said how many people get turned away
Yeah.
immediately because of this. And that's because
Yeah.
a lot of mortgage lenders, if they can't do it right now and they're not going to get a paycheck from that deal right now,
Yeah.
they don't care,
And
right?
I
They're
mean,
moving
real
on.
estate agents do the same thing.
Yeah. Oh,
Like they're
absolutely.
like, "Oh, you're
Yeah.
not pre-approved? See you,
Yeah.
nerd.
Yeah.
Call me when you're pre-approved."
Right.
And uh, it's a cynical approach. And
Yeah.
to be fair, I've been burned a few times by,
Yeah.
sinking in a ton of time with folks that aren't
Oh,
willing to
yeah.
do the work. We've both been
Lots of
there, but
times. Oh, yeah.
the success stories far outweigh
Yeah,
the
for
the
sure.
failures because it is really worth it to open a door to someone that they
Yeah.
didn't even know a door was there.
Mhm.
Whether it's a veteran or whether it's someone who qualifies for USDA
Oh,
home
absolutely.
loan or
Yeah,
welcome home money. That's a
yeah.
big one.
I
Or
still
like the
talk to
state
people
grant.
now who didn't really wanna have a conversation with a mortgage person or even talk about it because they still and these are younger people, still in their mind, their family or friends or somebody in their sphere told them they still had to have 20% down. And they already had the 5%, right? They had a
Didn't
5% down payment,
didn't
but
someone
they
ask you that like a week or two ago? Or someone
probably.
mentioned
Get
that?
asked it all
I
the
can't.
time,
Yeah.
man. It's crazy. I thought that myth that's why I said, like, I always think, okay, I'm not gonna address that in any kind of content because I
Yeah.
feel like that myth is pretty much subsided. But people still believe it, man. People
Yeah.
still think they get information from their friends and family,
Yeah.
which is dangerous. We were talking about that the other day at a club, like people getting just bad information from
Yeah.
their family who,
Yeah.
think they know because of
And
their experience.
that's such a tightrope to walk too, man, because like where do you go? Like as like a young person
Yeah.
or someone who doesn't go, you go to mom and dad or you
I
go
know.
to, your fun
And if
uncle,
mom and
like
dad don't know,
yeah,
but they act like they know,
yeah,
because they feel like they know,
yeah,
maybe they do. Maybe it's not from a bad faith
yeah,
thing, but like they're giving their kid this bad information, you
yeah.
know.
Well, and maybe not necessarily like bad, but just like
Yeah,
antiquated because like or I
just
think that
misinformation, I should
yeah,
say.
like I think the better approach really when someone's asking you something that's necessarily not outside your or not inside your
Yeah.
wheelhouse is kind of like obviously give them information. Don't be like, Google it, nerd. But
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
like, hey, this is how it worked for me.
Right.
I think we should go inquire
Right.
from the
Talk to somebody.
professional like
Yes.
I did together.
Right. And I think
Because
that's a smart approach. Like, I know
yeah,
that I'm getting old in this game and just in general because I actually the parent
you're still like 15 years younger than the
Yeah.
average mortgage lender.
Yeah, that's probably true,
So
yeah.
that's
That's
don't
true.
give me that.
But what makes me think about that or, like, I have clients that now from years ago
Excuse
that
me.
have kids that are of home buying age,
Yeah.
and when their kids ask them about it, you know what the
Mhm.
parents tell them, they don't give them wrong information. They say, "Hey, actually, you know what? You need to talk to my mortgage guy. I don't
Yeah.
wanna give you wrong information."
Or
That
like
is the best thing you can do to help your kid is
yeah.
put them in contact with a trusted resource that is a professional in that industry
Yeah.
and help them try to navigate that for them. You
You
know
know
what I
what
mean?
actually happens more often than that is, first off, everybody
Dad
in
showing
their
up to the home inspection?
oh my god, no. Actually, there was an uncle last time, the one that me and Steve
Oh,
did,
Unc, huh?
yeah,
Unc showed up?
dude, whole thing, it was hilarious. But we'll have to talk about that
The
one
memes
afterwards.
are,
Ooh.
the memes from realtors about those scenarios are
The
freaking
There was
hilarious.
a Sopranos one that popped on my feed the day after it happened, and it was complete top to bottom chicanery. Shouldn't have happened the way it did, and we resolved it and closed. Everyone is happy, but the
Yeah.
whole obstacle was just fugazi. It didn't exist. But there was like a Polly Walnuts like meme where he's just like what driving to work, and I
Yeah.
sent it to him. He's like, that's literally me in the driveway right now. But yeah, man, like I think that parents really should educate themselves and stay current, but also, um, you know, understand that stuff changes, and you
Absolutely.
got to talk to the professional.
Yeah.
But the other thing I was going to say is everybody and their sister at this point has a real estate license.
I know.
Everybody has an aunt or an uncle or a sister
Yeah.
or a
I think
brother-in-law.
that might be starting to change a tiny bit, but you're right.
It's 100%
Generally,
changing.
yeah,
Like people still have licenses and they
yeah.
still have a place to go, but
If they're not
um,
practicing their craft,
yeah, yeah. Well, and it's a starting point.
yeah,
It's still better than
yeah,
nothing.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, it's still better than nothing for sure.
Yeah.
Or just getting, the friends and family misinformation,
Yeah.
So I still hear that a lot. I hear that on a weekly basis. I'm like, well, my
My father's brother's best friend's
told me
cousin's
that
former
this
roommate.
or that or this. Yeah, I
Yeah.
hear it all the time, man.
Mhm.
So I just said, well, that might have been in good faith, but it's
Mhm.
wrong.
Yeah.
And so I even tell people, even the internet can be wrong a lot. Like people was like, well, I searched on instead of dad or
I asked
mom.
ChatGPT.
Yeah, or I asked Google and Google said this, and I
Yeah.
said, "Well, that's wrong."
Yeah.
So, and that's fine, like, but that's why you get in touch with a professional, and
Mhm.
then once I'm in contact with a client, like,
Mhm.
dude, you got my number, text me. If you
Yeah.
got the question, just type that same question in your text box,
Mhm.
send it to me, not Google.
Yeah.
Maybe I
I'm
won't get back
mortgage
with you.
I like Ryan is mortgage Google.
Yeah, and I tell people,
Absolutely.
you may not get the answer as fast as Google's gonna give it to you.
Mhm.
It may maybe I don't answer immediately, but
At
I'm
least
gonna
it'll
get
be
you
right.
I'm gonna get you
Yeah.
the correct answer.
Mhm.
And so, like, that's why, like, when you make that first so, like, if somebody makes contact with me, maybe their credit's not there, their income's not there,
Yeah.
whatever, something's not there, just open that door for us to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Now they've opened the door up to me. They've got me as a resource now. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? From there on out, even if we're not buying a house for a year,
Yeah.
you've got access to that, and it's the same with you, man. So, but I think I don't know if we digressed from our why should people buy a home now?
I don't know if we like I mean, we kinda talked about the cons a little bit.
Yeah,
Like, there's major concerns with buying a house. What is it?
yeah,
It's the affordability, it's the inventory,
uncertainty.
the rates, the economic
Yeah,
uncertainty, and there's probably was it some really stringent, mortgage requirements. Now that one is a bit of a misnomer,
a little
and
bit.
we'll
Yeah,
probably
it's
talk
not
on it a little
entirely
bit.
correct. Yeah,
And I think there's perception and reality,
yeah,
right? Because you have the perception that mortgage standards are generally not all that stringent, like or as oppressive as people would think they are.
yeah,
And so like that's kind of a misnomer.
right.
But I think by and large, the reality for the general consumer is that they are, and because people kind of live in the prison of their own design,
Sure.
where the common mortgage and financial education is not readily apparent.
Right.
And if it is accessible, it's generally accessible by professionals who operate off of a cash flow basis
Yeah.
instead of a client care basis.
Yeah.
And so, like, it kind of is, kind of isn't. The mortgage standards are not actually all that stringent. You need a
Yeah.
job, you need a credit score that's above
Right.
6, and,
They're realistic. You
yes,
know.
like, it's like general be a good grown-up
Yeah.
rules, and so it's not really necessarily that oppressive, but if you are playing by the rules of, someone who's not willing to educate you, who's not willing to show you all the options,
Sure.
or maybe a retail mortgage lender who's not a broker like you,
Yeah.
who doesn't have the options to color
Right.
outside of the
Yeah.
lines, like, or act just like have more,
Yeah.
tools to the toolbox. Like, yeah, it can be kind of
Yeah.
oppressive.
Or sorry, can't help you.
Yeah.
Click. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you hang up from that call. You're like, dang,
Yeah. It's like, "Oh, you don't have an 800 credit
this is
score?
too tough.
See
I
you, nerd."
can't do this. You know.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
and I get that, and I can understand that. Yeah. So again, I think we just consistently come back full circle to it matters who you work with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's huge, man. I can't impress upon people
Yeah.
how important that is. You know,
Yeah. I mean,
enough.
kinda
Can't
it's really
impress upon
important.
people enough how important that is. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Um,
And going back to affordability, just because like we kind
yeah,
of went down and back. Affordability, like, that's a reason to not buy a house. Like, if your
yeah,
finances are not in order,
right.
don't get off Zillow.
Yeah, like we
Delete
can't
delete
do
Zillow
this.
from your
Yeah, yeah,
phone,
absolutely.
because this is the other thing is they will sell your information.
Yeah,
Um, like,
yeah,
so don't be home shopping. Like, if your finances aren't in order, talk to a professional, get a game plan,
yep,
and when your finances are back in order, that's when you can start shopping again.
right.
That's a huge reason to not buy a house is
Yep,
the affordability. Like, it's not feasible financially. Now, if it is feasible financially, yes, then you're in the pool of people, which is a surprisingly large number of Americans, where it's like, yeah, if you don't own a home, like, you should be making moves to purchase a home,
yeah,
not because it's just something that you have to do. There's a rhyme and a reason behind homeownership. We
yeah,
just talked about it. Homeowners have a net worth that are
yeah.
10x
It's the
than people who
number
are rent.
one way that people have create generational wealth.
Yes. Yeah.
Number one way.
And yeah. And I mean, granted, there are a lot of real estate professionals that do real estate investing and have long-term rentals
Yeah,
that feed into that. But just for your 9 to 5 cat, like someone who's an accountant or a
yeah.
truck driver or a
Just
school teacher,
middle
some,
class
yeah,
people. Yeah,
regular
middle
folks.
class
Yeah.
generational wealth is all. I mean, think about it, man. Most people that you've bumped into
Hmm.
that says, "Oh, yeah, I got my so and so died, and I got an inheritance."
Yeah.
Almost always that inheritance comes through the sale of a property.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Almost always, man. It's from the sale of that house. So,
Uh-huh.
like you're generating wealth. And granted, some of that wealth you may not see, right? Like you're buying that house.
Hmm.
Maybe you don't see the wealth in your lifetime. Maybe
No.
you do, but are you only looking out for yourself or do you want like your family to have something as well?
Yeah.
And so when we say generational wealth, that's what I mean. Like I'm paying this equity in my home once, it appreciates over the next 30 years. I'm passing this on to my kids. Now my
Yeah.
kids have some wealth. They can take that wealth, go start a business. They can go buy a house. They've got
Hmm.
money that they wouldn't have otherwise had,
Yeah.
because most people do not have large pools of money in like liquid type investments, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Having a home and purchasing the right home for the right money and having the right plan to maintain the
yeah,
home and allow it to grow with equity is the middle class security blanket.
yeah,
It really is, because you have the equity in your home that's long term, right?
yeah,
You can tap into that for emergencies. You have
yep,
that there. You have the ability to write off your interest on your taxes. And you have all of these different facets of owning your own real estate, not just the freedom
yeah,
to, kind of exist in your own space the way you want to, make it your own, have a real home,
right,
because that's a huge mental effect and a huge
yeah,
mental benefit to just anybody. But it's your financial security blanket, man.
yeah,
If you're making a smart purchase, like you got the right loan product, you
yeah,
got the right rate, the right closing costs, you worked with the right real estate agent
right,
that was able to negotiate the right deal,
yeah,
you got the house at the right numbers, closing costs, whatever it was, like, and it is an asset. It is a
yeah,
true asset. Like, it is your security blanket, not
yep,
just for you, but for your family,
right,
and I think that, and I tell people this all the time, a good deal never goes out of style.
mm-mm,
Like, mid '09 crash, mid COVID buyer frenzy, mid mini recession where like the rates were in the eights and,
yep,
like nobody was buying houses. A good deal doesn't know any timing, or it doesn't know any, general location or
yeah,
price point. A good deal is just a good deal.
right,
They never go out of style,
yeah,
and that doesn't matter if it's the affordability, the inventory at the time, the rates at the time, the economic, like, finding the right deal for you, it's always a
Right.
good time to find the right
Right.
deal.
Well, here's the thing. So if I just said earlier, the general consumer sentiment is right now is a bad time to buy a house,
Yeah.
right? If that's the general consumer sentiment, that means what? If everybody thinks it's a bad time to buy a house, there's probably not a ton of buyers out in the market,
Yeah.
right? So do you think there's no sellers in the market? Of
No.
course there is. You
Yeah.
see houses for sale all the time. Look at Zillow. There's all kinds of
Mhm.
homes for sale.
Yeah.
So if there's all these homes for sale, but there's not a lot of buyers in the market,
Yeah.
when the sellers actually do get some sort of a buyer,
Yeah.
do you think they're gonna be more willing to negotiate now that they finally got some interest in their property?
Yeah.
Or do you think when everybody thinks it's a good time to buy and everybody's in the market trying to buy a house, you think that's better for you as a buyer or better for the seller? And that's
Yeah.
what I try when you break it down in that logic, I
Yeah.
think most people are gonna say, "Oh, and I never really thought about it that simplified,"
And
you know?
and this is I'm gonna like take off my buyer's agent hat for a second and
Yeah.
like kind of expose some like listing agent strategy here. And this is for like all of the buyers out there that are kind of thinking about timing. Because I preach timing to clients all the time,
Yeah.
whether it's a buyer or a seller. If you're a buyer, and you're thinking of just the deal, right? You're thinking of it doesn't matter what time you move. You can move in the summer or the winter or the fall. Go buy a house in the dead of winter.
Perfect time.
Go in the middle of
The best
January,
time.
February, or if you really want to get crazy with it, do it in between Thanksgiving and Christmas
Oh, yeah.
because you know who's shopping for homes around then? Nobody.
Right.
And the people that have their houses listed, they're two people:
Motivated.
have to and stubborn. And there are people that have been coached like, hey man, if you can hang on for like 2 or 3 months,
Mhm.
market's gonna be there. There's always an upturn. Why? Because people's kids are in school. Most people that buy houses have kids. Who
Yep.
wants to move in the middle of school year? Nobody. And then you have PCS season for the military. Most markets have some sort of military installation
Yeah.
around there. We have Fort Knox immediately outside of our gate.
Right.
We're in Hardin
Real
County,
close. Yeah.
but also a couple hours south, we have Fort Campbell.
Yep.
So PCS season is real. And so as a seller's agent, I am coaching all of my clients to time their listings to really hit the market April, May at least, and then flow through the summer because that's when everyone's out, that's when the weather's nice, that's when everyone's
Yep.
showing. So as a buyer, if you want to go compete against everybody else, you want to
Right.
have to you mean like you, get ready to pay your closing costs, get ready to
Exactly. No
only get
seller
yeah,
credits.
no seller credits. Get ready for like a fight for inspections and
You're right.
repairs.
Your
Like even it's
repairs may
not
get
COVID, so
rejected.
you're still gonna get your
Yeah.
inspections, but unless it's detrimental,
Yeah.
like there's three more people because as a listing agent, I'm gonna tell that buyer's agent the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, bro, we have three more buyers waiting
Right
in line,
behind you.
and that is true whether the rates are 6 or whether they're 3 or
Yeah.
whether they're 8. A good deal or a good house knows no economic,
Yeah.
you know,
But
what
you
is it?
throw lower
Any
rates on you pour lower rates on top of
yes,
that,
dude.
and you just exponentially
Yeah.
and,
Well, especially right now because people are used to the higher rates.
I know.
So I mean, we're
They've
back
gotten used to
to
it finally. Most people have.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, back to quarter one,
Yeah.
right? We had two big listings. Both of them were over 400 grand. And we did what we do for listings, right? Which is obviously it's a little bit more than what the standard agent's going to do. We roll out the red carpet for every house.
Yep.
And so we hit that marketing with a hammer. And both of those listings, they went up in February and they went down the same week of February. One of them went for over asking price. And there was snow on the ground.
Yeah.
Like
That's crazy.
we had a
Yeah.
school snow day and it
Yeah.
was
Got over asking in the middle
yeah,
of winter,
yeah.
basically. Yeah.
And I mean it's a hell of a house. But
With rates at 7%, basically.
yeah,
You know?
I think they closed it like 6-8,
Yeah, but
something like that.
right,
Yeah,
that yeah,
it was high. It
yeah,
wasn't it's not like they got a
yeah,
killer rate.
yeah,
So it just goes to show you that timing is important. And if you're a buyer, you need to get into the mental state of you may have to compete with somebody else for a house, even if the rates are high.
right,
Now, if you have a good agent and you have conveyed your mission to them, like we're a little bit less picky on the house, we want the right deal.
right.
they're not gonna show you the houses that everybody wants. They're gonna show
Yeah.
you the houses that have been sitting on the market for
Yeah.
120 days
More
because
motivated sellers.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, because we're gonna go and we're gonna
Yeah.
haggle, and we're gonna haggle on the
You
price.
can
We're gonna
spot those deals.
yes,
Yeah, help them
yeah.
identify
Mhm.
where the deals are gonna be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you kinda have to put yourself into to what class of shopper or consumer you're gonna put
Yeah.
yourself in, like, okay, do you wanna be a little bit more savvy, play chess, understand that if it's your first or second house, it's probably not gonna be your last house,
Right.
and so you're making a money move.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. Then at that point, who cares what color the walls are? Who
Yeah.
cares if it's a ranch or a two-story? "Ooh, I really like a ranch." Get
Yeah.
a ranch on the next house,
Yeah,
man. Like,
exactly.
you're gonna get a ton
I
of
think a lot of
equity.
buyers don't,
Yeah.
yeah, they're not, they're thinking it every house, their first house is gonna be their forever home.
Yeah,
They know deep
I
down
thought
it's
that
not.
when it was my first house, I
Yeah.
got a hell of a house, but
Yeah.
I didn't stay there for whatever reason,
Right.
and, but yeah.
But you're like, "I gotta have all these things." The next thing you know, you're
Mhm.
selling it in 5
We
years.
we've
You know
all
what I mean?
been there.
Yeah.
Like, we've all been there because you get those big heart eyes when you shop
Yeah.
on Zillow and you're like, you can see your life for the rest of everything, and you're
Yeah.
like, "This is gonna be awesome."
And 5 years later, you're putting a
Yeah.
sign in the yard. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
like you went through all that to
Yeah.
try to, yeah.
Yeah. You just get more, like, I guess, realistic with,
Yeah.
what your life is going to
Yeah.
be.
And I think that's important for a real
Uh-huh.
estate agent to help clients work through that psyche or those emotions,
Yeah.
because I'm not sure that all of them do. I don't think so.
Very few do the
Yeah.
way we do it. We
Yeah.
have a very direct approach. We don't really beat around the bush. We're not like wagging a finger at
Right.
people,
But you're just
but
trying to help them.
I
Hey,
will flat out say exactly what it is or what it isn't. Because and
yeah.
we talked about this on our first episode is why don't agents do things a certain way? And it's fear.
Yeah.
Because for every home buyer that has missed out on a house, who's afraid of missing on a house, who's maybe afraid of missing a mortgage payment because the economy has inflation and housing
Right.
prices are high, real estate agents got to make mortgage payments too, dude.
Yeah.
So every single one of those agents that has a deal in their hand where a buyer is like, should I take it?
Right.
Is this a good deal? I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
But if you had taken detailed notes in your consult stage and you are walking the client through exactly what they want,
Mhm.
what looks like a win for them, and sometimes you have to write it through
You
them
have
with
to go
them.
back to that
Yeah,
and say,
because
"Hey."
if you just said you're pre-approved, let's go
Yeah.
look at houses, and
Right.
you didn't set the table for any of what's going on,
Right.
when you get down to the negotiating part and you actually get the reins in your
Yeah.
hand, you're behind the wheel and you're like, "Oh, I could buy it if I wanted to." But
Right.
should you? Should I
Right.
push for more money? Should I push for that repair? Should I push for that credit? And setting the expectations with what your plan is, your game plan, like doing the
Mhm.
homework ahead of time, and that we can't do that diligence without lenders.
Right.
Agents can, draw in crayon and, sketch their pictures all they want on the scratch paper, but it doesn't mean anything if
Right.
the lender isn't really conveying the financial knowledge
Yeah.
and like also getting accurate quote sheets out
Yeah.
for closing costs, cash to close, estimating
Right.
for escrow, property taxes, and home insurance. I know that was a huge fluctuating thing over the last 3 months. Is that
Mhm.
home insurance has been whack.
Yeah.
Um,
Still is. Crazy, man.
yeah, I mean, you gotta have a relief
Yeah.
valve in your back pocket. Like, hey, man, this is an estimate.
Yeah.
Location's gonna play a
Yeah.
factor. Who knew that location to the house's relative location to the fire station
Yeah.
is
Would
gonna
cause
factor into that?
that dramatic of a difference,
Huge
especially
difference.
thousands of dollars a year.
Mhm.
Insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those variations have to definitely be played in.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I think like a lot of people say, well, you know what? I think we're past where like why do we buy when we say, hey, why do we buy a house now? I think we're past the stage where people say, I'm gonna wait for home prices to drop. I think most people will realistically understand how the market mechanics work. And
Yeah.
the simple explanation I always gave to people is, man, only way for home prices to drop are for there has to be less demand than there
Mhm.
is supply,
Yeah.
right? And I think one of the concerns and I think we know because one of the concerns with a lot of buyers is there's not enough inventory. There's not enough homes on the market, right?
Yeah.
Inventory is just, is the fancy way to say homes available to
Mhm.
sell.
Yeah.
right? And so if there's not enough inventory to meet all of the demand in the market,
Yeah.
then that's the only way for home prices to drop. And we still have an inventory shortage overall to meet
Yeah.
all the demand. So this is why home prices don't come down, because you've got, if once you have way less buyers than you do actually homes on the market, then
Mhm.
you would see. But it's just not going to happen. I mean, most builders, even if they wanted to, they said they couldn't meet the demand that was necessary, or they didn't have the capacity to meet the demand, to build enough homes. So
There's a cutoff on price point that affects that demand, though.
yeah,
And I think you have to look at what the average salary is for middle class
yeah,
because that's the real
right,
supply and demand that you're
yeah,
looking at. Because
yeah,
you have a lot of sellers that we kind of like, talked about people that made big purchases during the COVID
right,
era. How many people have $450,000 houses and a 2% interest rate?
yeah,
And now they got 5 years of equity in that house. You do the math.
yeah,
Say you want to be conservative and hit 5% year over year of real estate appreciation on a $450,000 house that the regular American could probably buy at
yeah.
2%. What do you think it's worth now? Like 600 grand?
Yeah, I mean, you're at least that's well over 100,000 in equity
So
that
say
you've gained. Yeah.
550, be
Yeah.
conservative. How many people today do you think can go buy a $550,000 house within, say, most of the, Tri-City, Kentucky area? I say Tri-City, like
Yeah.
From
Very
Bowling
small
Green to
pool.
Lexington to
Yeah.
Louisville, within that triangle.
Yeah.
How many people do you think can go buy a $550,000 house?
Yeah. Not a lot. The pool's small. Yeah.
Exactly. The pool used to be much bigger.
Yeah.
And so for sellers that have higher dollar homes, yes, your home is worth that, but this expectation that
Right.
you're just going to be able to throw it on the market as a for sale by
And
owner or
sell it
use
in a
some Joe
week.
Schmo agent
Yeah.
or whatever and just ask for the moon
Yeah.
and get it, that's not going to happen
It's not
anymore, dude.
realistic.
And
Yeah.
and if you want to like sell it for retail. And when we
Right.
say retail on here, it's meaning like we are selling it
Market
for
value.
the kind of like the top end of what you could sell it for,
Right.
like retail, right?
Sure.
So if you go buy sneakers in the store, like not on Facebook Marketplace or at the outlet or at the,
Yeah.
other places or the third party vendors, you go buy Nikes from Nike.
Right.
That's the retail price. It's probably not going to get much lower than or
Right.
much higher than that.
Right.
So everywhere else is going to be lower. So your full retail price for a house, like if you're trying to get full blown retail for your house and it's one of those higher dollar houses, dude, you have to make sure that your pricing is right and you have to
Yeah.
make sure that whoever you have hired to list that house is going to hit that marketing with a
Yeah.
sledgehammer.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
all
pricing it right now is huge.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
The houses that yeah, pricing it right is huge. Because I mean, you don't know, man. It's kind of a wild card too.
yeah,
It just I think some people are still stuck in that COVID era though.
mhm,
Thinking, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
that mindset just still resonates with
mhm,
people. Like
yeah,
they can't drop it, but they don't realize that we're in a more normalized market. We're becoming a
yeah,
lot more balanced market. But it's healthy, I think,
mhm.
you know?
Well, I mean, especially for things like repairs. Repairs
Yeah.
have been such a bugaboo this year too, when it comes to the just common sense stuff like, hey, is there water in the basement?
Yeah.
Is there, is the roof leaky or all this
Yeah.
other stuff? And sellers are like, nah, I'm not doing that. Like, you want to sell this house, dude?
Yeah, I
Like,
know.
you're about to make a
Yeah.
100 grand on this
Can't
house.
have that attitude
Like,
anymore,
and,
yeah.
and,
But that stuff went by when we've
mhm,
talked about earlier, did people make bad buys?
yeah,
Absolutely, they did because they bought a house like that, and sellers were able to say no, and the buyer felt they had to. They had to take this deal,
yeah,
right? They got a 2% interest rate,
yeah.
but they got this house with all these problems.
But I mean, also look at the forest for the trees. You're still going to make a ton of money
Oh,
on the sale of
absolutely.
this house,
Yeah.
especially if
The
the
equity that
transaction's
you've
being managed the right way.
yes.
And
The
this
equity
isn't
you've
the real
gained.
estate agent that's saying, whatever, just however much money it costs anybody but me.
Yeah.
It's the real estate agent saying, dude,
Yeah.
was a hot house. We got an offer in 7 days, and it is for asking. It's very competitive, especially in this market.
Yep.
You're gonna take your money.
Right.
And when it comes to repairs, people are paying a mint for that house
Yeah.
because everything should be in working order.
Yeah.
So, like, indulge that good faith negotiation that yes, home inspections generally yield something, even on
Right.
new constructions. Now, are you gonna go and concede all of the little stuff? You're gonna go change all the light bulbs and fix all the chipped paint? Like, no, dude. Like, but
Yeah.
I mean, for major systems, like as a seller, you got to get with the program.
Right.
And it sounds kind of harsh, especially when it's like your home or it's your savings or your kind of your family's equity, your family's security blanket, like we just said. When we give you that hard statement of like get with the program and sell the house, we are saying that because if you go put it back on the market, first off, if the home inspection yields a deficiency that you didn't know about, well, now we got to update the seller's
Right.
disclosure. And
Yeah, you
now
gotta protect yourself
exactly.
legally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And so anybody else is going to, anyone with any kind of sense is going to come through and ask for that repair or a credit for it because that's what you do,
Right.
so if you're going to pay for a house, it should work. It
Yeah.
should be in good
Yeah.
working order.
Absolutely.
So I think look at the forest for the trees. Understand you are going to make a profit. This is still a good deal.
Yeah.
It's still a good transaction. Just because you're conceding some stuff to the buyer doesn't mean that you lost. Like,
No.
don't try and, tally
Yeah.
up.
Don't look
Like,
at this as yeah,
yeah, don't look at
that's
this as like winning or losing or
winning. Yeah.
like, and that's, I think we wrote a blog on this the other day. Is like one of the big mistakes you can make in this real estate market is letting your emotions drive your
Absolutely.
decision making.
I see it all the time from the mortgage side, just from the
Hmm.
outside, watching it go down, and I can
Hmm.
hear clients saying that, "Well, no, they're not going to do this." I'm like, "Well, everything else is a good deal. Why
Yeah.
wouldn't you just concede this one thing? You're still getting a good deal, but it's
Yeah.
that one little thing that they didn't like that they're
Mhm.
not the other party isn't conceding to. So it's like if I don't win this one thing,
If I had like almost every single poor decision in a real estate deal stems from these words. I just feel like,
yeah,
and it
I feel,
immediately
yeah,
and it's a human response.
yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah,
totally natural to feel a certain way. And or I don't feel like, and like it is like it's describing your feelings to define an action, and it's a terrible strategy,
yeah.
and it's also a completely natural
Especially
human
in a
reaction.
business negotiation.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
A
And
business transaction, yes.
yes,
Feel
and
your feelings, but then wake up and let's get logical
yeah.
and,
Yeah, dude, look at the numbers.
yeah.
And that's why real estate agents make money, is
Yeah.
because we have to both identify the feelings. A good real
Right.
estate agent is going to let you feel your feelings. Like maybe even like go down that path with you and be like, "Yeah, it's bullshit. Like this is so dumb."
Right.
And like, but do you want to be pissed for 5 minutes or do you want to kick yourself for 5 more weeks
Right.
and pay another mortgage payment?
Yeah.
These are a lot of like seller
Yeah. Seller
these are
back
a lot of
things.
seller
Yeah.
conversations that we have.
Yeah.
Generally we don't have those conversations with buyers
Yeah.
because especially in the market that we have right now where we've gotten some inventory relief. Um, like if it I coach all of the buyers the same. It's not a good deal, it's not a good deal.
Yeah.
Like you gotta know when to hold them and know when to fold them and
Yeah.
know when to walk
Yeah.
away,
Yeah. Exactly.
and so like and that's your power as a buyer.
Yeah.
Even during COVID, like where buyers were kind of just getting left off to the side and
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, whatever, no inspection for you. Um, you know, the buyers were still the most important portion of the transaction that people failed to recognize because not a single thing happens in a real estate transaction without a buyer. The buyer is the most important party of any real estate transaction because without the buyer, none of it works.
No.
You can have the best house in the history of ever that's priced for $10. If you don't have somebody with $10 that wants
To
to pay
buy it.
for it,
Yeah.
and
Doesn't
and
matter.
and that's I think the irony too when we talk about listing agent and buyer agent relationships, who gets shit on the most? Buyer's agents.
Yeah, which is so weird to me. I've always found that so strange. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like there are some agents that are super collaborative. Like,
Mhm.
they know when they're out there working, they know, like, hey, this is a collaboration. But then there are agents out there that it's us versus them.
Yeah.
In this like they're in a courtroom, like a civil case or something. But I'm like, dude, wouldn't you want to look at this as more of a collaboration? Like, I still have my client's best interest at
Yeah.
heart, but I need to collaborate with this other party to
Mhm.
try to get this to work. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Ye That's exactly right, and I think that my approach and this is just kind of a glimpse into my progression as a real estate agent because I wasn't always, of that mindset because I came out of the Marine Corps, came out
Yeah.
of private sector, and I was still very like, I was still combative. And I
I
was
think a
also,
lot of newer agents are though.
yeah.
I
And
don't
I
know
guess,
why.
I mean, because, well,
I've
first
noticed
off,
that
like,
was a
you're
lot.
self conscious. Like,
Yeah,
I felt self
that's what I
conscious
think it is.
because, like, I didn't have any work history. I didn't
Right.
have, and also I knew I didn't know what the other agent knew,
Right.
and it scared me.
Yeah.
And,
And I
and I'm,
think that's
and I'm,
exactly where that stems from. I see it with other younger agents
yeah.
now. Like, I think that's why it's that lack of confidence then comes out as this combative,
Yeah.
defensive.
And then you also put the vet stuff on there too, where I'm just naturally a little bit more abrasive.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, screw you, man. And so, but over time, like I've realized that the deals where you get the most stuff is when you roll out the red carpet for the other agent. You wash their
Absolutely.
back every time. And not
And
in
they
a
know
not
that y'all are working as some kind of a team in
N
a sense, you
yeah,
know what I
and
mean?
well,
Like,
not in the sense that you're gonna share your people's
no,
information
absolutely not.
or like give the seller what they want, but
Right.
in the sense that like you are, hey, if he needs you to share a document,
Right.
he needs it, they need an extra day for response time,
Yeah.
or they need some flexibility on access. Hey
Right.
man, can you do that form and send it to me? I'll get my people to sign it versus making
Right.
me write it. Like all of these little like ticks of like communication or
Yeah.
convenience, like you may not have to give them feedback, but you do.
Right.
Um you may not have to like tell them the showing's done or give them like for all of our listings, if someone shows the house, we'll call them before they get there or we'll reach out to them before they get there, and then we do the same thing afterwards. The system sometimes sends them auto text like, hey,
Right.
give us feedback, but we try and get
Yeah.
a human touch
Element. Yeah.
twice
Yeah. Yeah.
before and after, because first off, we want to value their time. And for
Yeah.
buyers agents, like it's tough out there, man. Like
Yeah.
I work buyers and sellers and it's tough out there. So, value their time, be like, hey man, I really appreciate you showing. Like, give me the scoop. What you think?
Right.
And if they're not wanting to share a ton of their people's opinion, that's fine. What did you think, man? Like,
Right.
I mean, give
Yeah.
me the walk around, like tell me what you thought, and have a good conversation, build some rapport with the
Yeah.
agent. And
It's just like, dude, put yourself in my shoes. Like,
yeah,
wouldn't you like help me?
a hundred
Let's help each
percent.
other. Like,
Yeah. And
and that's the thing. There's a good probability as a real estate agent, you're going to have you could have another deal with this person in the future, right?
100%. Or
Like, so why wouldn't you want? Hey, man, let's all
mhm.
let's kind of make this work. You know?
Well, I mean, case in point, we had someone show one of our listings a couple weeks ago, and it was, I think it came in second on their people's like favorites list. Well, the house that they tried to offer in on fell through for inspections. And so, right, like within a week, they turn around back to number two
Yep.
and they're like, hey, man. And
Yeah.
immediately like picked up the phone. He wasn't like standoffish or
Right.
anything. Like we had already had a great conversation. He's like, hey, this fell out for inspections. We
Yeah.
still available. You guys got offers. He's like, yeah, not yet. But I mean, you guys want to write?
Right.
Let's do it. And it was automatically just a really good
Yeah.
transaction.
Yeah. That's
And
how it should be, though, man.
but
Like,
that feeds into like the inspections, the appraisal portion, because as you're like negotiating stuff like repairs or any type of pricing or credits, like yeah, working with the other agent in a
yeah.
collaborative mindset is so
Yeah.
much better for your people. Swallowing your
Absolutely.
pride,
Yeah.
like 100%, like
Right.
because I mean I've been training new agents this whole year,
Yeah.
and that's come up a lot in how we treat other agents. Like if it comes down to swallowing your pride, even if you're right.
Yeah.
And I think that's the big thing is like a lot of agents want to be right.
Yeah.
They don't want to take care of their person.
Yeah.
Even if like even if you're technically accurate, like, yeah, that person was an asshole. Like,
Yeah.
so if can you
Yeah.
benefit your
Is it
client
your
by
ego or your
yeah,
client that you're looking out for here?
exactly. Like, I mean, and I get it, we're all people,
Yeah. I
but
mean, we're human, that human element, but you got to realize that at some point. Like, it's got to,
we make money because we are the buffer between
yeah.
our clients and the bullshit.
Right.
We can't shield them from all of it because
Yeah.
at some point you got to submit those pay stubs, baby.
Yeah.
But yeah, like as an agent, like you really do have to swallow your pride.
Yeah.
And I mean, if it's time to go to bat for your people,
Yeah.
there's a way to go to bat for your
Yeah.
people
You
and
pick
still
your
get what.
battles.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, but still do it in a collaborative way. Just
Yeah.
be like,
Right.
listen, like so and so, I understand that you guys are like this.
Right.
This is the position of my client, and here's why.
Yeah.
I really want to work with you. I really hope we can work this out. Tell me what you guys can maybe do, or something that we can do to maybe
Yeah.
make it happen. If it's in the cards, let's do it. Let's
Yeah.
do what we can do to make it work.
Yeah. But with super low interest rates and the inventory we have now, you may not have that same, you may
Mm.
not have that leverage as a buyer. That's why I say, why do we buy a house now? It's like,
Yeah,
man, if rates were to drop and buyers rushed into the market,
yeah,
you're not going to have all that. There's none of this back and forth. It probably doesn't exist as much, right? Like,
yeah.
it's like, hey man, make your best offer. What you
Mhm.
got? You know what
Yeah,
I mean? And if you ask for closing, good luck.
yeah,
If you ask for any kind of seller credit. So right now,
yeah.
since we've seen, rates elevated, and homes just don't sell as fast, it's more normal, right? Like they're
Mhm.
not, homes just aren't selling as fast.
Yeah. Time
Buyers
on market tripled.
have a little more advantage in
Yeah.
that sense, right? So why do you buy a house now? That's because you get these opportunities that you probably wouldn't have otherwise, right? If you
Yeah.
had more buyers in the market. What brings more buyers to the market? Low interest rates is the number one. That's the easy way. That's why
Yeah.
we just got through
Low
saying,
interest rates, competitive
yeah,
pricing.
the
Yeah.
Fed, we just said the Fed knows how to spur economic demand for real estate.
Yeah.
They take the money, they buy the mortgage-backed securities, rates drop, and guess what? All of a sudden you got a huge spike of demand in the market.
Mhm.
So that's why I tell, be careful what you wish for when you want these low rates. All of
Yeah.
a sudden you pay more for the house. So it's like, but people also
But
say, well,
how can someone get around that? How could a buyer get a house for a competitive price and a good deal and also still take advantage of low rates when they come?
yeah,
How would someone do that?
yeah, somebody would purchase the home now.
Okay.
I hate using the cliche. So at this time, that would be a
You
cue
could
for me to use the cliche,
you're gonna say it.
marry the house, date the rate.
You said the
Yeah. But
thing.
I'm not gonna say that anymore because I hate that now. I
Yeah.
hate that comment. But it is kind of true. It does hold some, it is true.
It's a
In
legitimate
a sense. Yeah,
strategy.
it is
Yeah.
legit. Like you buy the house now
Mhm.
and you refinance later. Does refinance come with a cost? Yes, but it's not out of pocket. You use your equity to pay for it. So you're not paying money out of pocket at closing.
Yeah.
But what we look at is, okay, so if you were to buy this house now, right, and then you refinance later, how much extra, let's just say like rates drop 1%.
Mhm.
Well, maybe on a $300,000 house, let's just say it's like, it wouldn't necessarily be 3 grand, but let's make the math 3 grand, right?
Yeah.
3 grand, then it cost you, let's say 2 or 3 grand to refi,
Yeah.
right? Okay. And hard
Mhm.
cost, right?
Yeah.
So now we're at 5 to 6 grand for the extra interest
Mhm.
and the refinance for 1% lower. Well, we just got through talking. Appreciation rates are at approximately 5%, which
Yeah.
is modest, right? Last
Mhm.
year, and we're going on the low end, so we're just using last year's, which was a lower appreciation rate. So it was 5%. So that $300,000 house this year would be 315, right? So what is more? What costs you more, paying $15,000 more for the house
Mhm.
or paying $3,000 more in interest for that year and then a couple grand to refi, right?
Mhm.
You're at 5 or 6 grand
Yeah.
versus 15 grand. You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying? So if you wait, to save, if you wait for rates to drop, you pay 15,000 more for that $300,000 house, or you buy the house now and you refinance later, maybe that costs you 5, 6, 3 grand in extra interest for that
Mhm.
year before you refi, and
Yeah.
then the refinance cost to do that. So it's just cheaper. It's less expensive
Yeah.
to buy the house now and refinance later.
And you're just factoring in the easy upfront purchase price costs.
Yeah.
You're not even factoring in the fact that most buyers today can still get closing costs on purchasing their house, because the market is still a little bit
Yeah.
slower, and
Yeah.
most
That's
sellers are
another
still.
advantage. I mean, we're
So
selling
that's
seller
that. So
credits.
so if we're talking seller credits right
Yeah.
there, because you're saying $15,000 cheaper.
Yeah.
That's just in purchase price.
Right.
We're not even talking
Yeah.
closing
Yeah.
costs.
I'm just talking strictly couch appreciation,
Yeah,
right?
but
Like just
we're
straight
not
up.
talking the out-of-pocket closing costs. We're also not talking about the repairs too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
we just
things
had
that you
one.
wouldn't get in a different environment. Yeah, if rates were 1% lower,
Mhm,
if rates when rates hit back when rates go into the fives, that we've
mhm.
some
They
math.
did last year for, like, 3
Yeah,
weeks,
and
right?
it spiked a little bit of demand, especially refinance demand. But
Yeah.
if rate when rates go back into the fives in the next 12 to 24 months, you're
Mhm.
going to see a spike in demand,
Yeah.
and you're going to see home price, you're going to see appreciation rates jump again
Mhm.
because of that spike in demand. So this is where that comes from. When people say, "Why should I buy a house now? Why shouldn't I wait for rates to come down?"
Yeah.
Because it's going to be less expensive to
Yeah.
do it that way
Yeah.
than it would be to wait for lower rates. But people say, I'm like, man, do you really want to wait? Like if this $300,000 house ends up being 315 next year,
Mhm.
is that really worth it to save, 100, $200 a month on your payment for a year?
Yeah.
No, you buy the house now and then you refinance when rates do drop. You've already locked the home price in.
Yeah.
And now this is where the marry the house, because the house and the price is locked in
Yeah.
for life, right?
Mhm.
And then you date the rate
Yeah.
because you trade it in, right?
Yeah.
So
And
it's a simple philosophy, man. It doesn't resonate with people. All they see is,
mhm.
I just need a lower payment, Ryan. I need these payments are too high, and that's because the interest rates are too high. But I'm like, dude, if your purchase price is higher,
Mhm.
and you have a lower rate, like it just washes everything out. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
You're
So
paying the same
yeah,
money.
if you were paying for the same priced house a year later at a lower rate, yeah, but you would have to go on the assumption that the appreciation rate is going to be 0,
Yeah.
which over the last 80 years only happened 2 of the last 80 years.
Yeah.
So it's like, dude, if I told you something happened only 2 years out of the last 80, you'd probably say that's kind of an anomaly. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So it's like if we just look at the historical pattern, it doesn't bear out.
And you're a lot better at presenting the numbers as justification, and I think that's
Yeah,
because
I'm
you
a
were.
math nerd on the mortgage
Yeah,
side. Yeah.
and I think for me as the agent, I'm coming more also from like the human perspective where
Sure.
I deal with a lot of clients and their stresses and their mental health and
Yes.
like preference. I deal with a
Yeah.
ton of like preference because
Right.
as the real estate agent, you're the guy opening the front door and walking
Right.
around like, how do we
Yes.
think? How do we feel?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I don't say that, but
Yeah, but
um,
that's what yeah.
yeah, that's
No,
kind
I
of
get it.
that's the job description
Yeah.
and the justification outside of the financial one, but the financial one drives this decision, and this
Yeah.
reason
It
is
should.
preference.
Yeah.
If you are a home buyer and you are waiting for a seller's market, which is low rates, right? Slow rates means it's a seller's market.
Absolutely.
And if you're a buyer that's waiting for a seller's market, you are foregoing choices.
Yeah.
You're foregoing options, not
Absolutely.
just in the numbers, because the numbers dictate the
Yeah.
homes that are available to you. But if you are willing to venture out into the world of higher interest rates or bad weather or
Right.
holiday shopping, the you get to call your shot
Right.
because you will have
Absolutely.
like when I was showing
Less
houses.
competition, man. It's that simple. You
Exactly.
know?
And so like if you wanted that ranch just because you
Yeah.
like ranches, you get your pick of the litter, dude.
Right.
On top of that, like location,
Yeah.
neighborhood, all of the things that you buy a house for because you get to be the one to pick it.
Yeah.
If you are waiting for a seller's market, you're basically waiting for someone to just kind of you're
Yeah.
waiting for luck of the
Yeah.
draw because every morning you're gonna look at Zillow because your real estate agent doesn't have a home shopping app.
Yeah.
We do. Um, but like,
Yeah.
so
Absolutely.
you're gonna look at Zillow and you're gonna look at all the news, the new listings,
Yeah.
and you're gonna be like, oh, these ones just came on the market an hour ago. Let's see which one we can get. And it's like throwing the fishnet into the
Yeah.
ocean and like whatever comes up, that's what you got,
Yeah.
baby. And
That happened during COVID, man.
yeah,
Ask people who tried to buy a home in 20, especially 21, 20 and
yo,
21. They're like, man, I made 5 different offers on 5 different houses, and they were all full price offers. And we didn't even ask them to pay closing, and we still lost them
this
all.
is gonna be even more wild. 22.
Yeah.
Remember when we first started working together?
Yeah.
How many of our like it was probably first 3 or 4 clients working together.
Yeah.
How many dozens of houses did we burn through writing multiple offers in the
Offer. Yeah.
summer of 2022
Yeah.
that we got outbid on?
Yeah.
Because people were still bidding on houses because the rates were 3.5 to
And
4%
then,
until September.
yeah, I was gonna say October. Then
Yeah, it
October
was like after
happened.
Labor Day, and it's like,
Rates spiked, and literally the faucet turned off.
yeah,
Everybody, it was gone, man.
hmm,
Like buyers were gone.
yep,
And all of a sudden it's like, uh-oh, what? And it just shows you how
hmm.
much
We were
our
all
market is
eating ramen.
driven. Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, the faucet turned off, and it just showed you too how driven the, interest rates in that market. It just and it swung back, man. Like all that time of low rates, like you just can't have that. It was manufactured
Mhm.
by the Federal Reserve. They manufactured a market,
Mhm.
and so you're gonna have some snapback with that, and that's what happened.
Well, and something to keep in mind, if you are sitting on the sidelines as just your regular red-blooded American and, you still haven't bought a house yet,
Yeah,
um,
because you're waiting on low rates.
or for whatever
Yeah.
reason, right? You don't wanna buy a house. You don't want the
Yeah,
upkeep.
you
You don't
don't
want
yeah,
A, B,
and
and
that's a
C.
good reason not to buy a house.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I don't wanna deal with the upkeep.
Yeah.
I'd rather rent. I'm cool with my apartment. I
Yeah.
don't need a house. Like, what do I need a house for?
Get a
Like,
condo.
or yeah,
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 get a condo. But, the thing is that if you're, your regular person or anybody really
yeah,
that's sitting on the sideline, hasn't purchased real estate yet, um, think about what you just said. The Fed manufactured specific market conditions that manipulated the choices that people had. For people that had made good real estate purchases pre-COVID and they were happy with where they lived, they were happy with their housing costs, and they were happy with their house because they planned it out, they executed it accordingly, and they
right.
did what they were supposed to do. How many of those people were beholden to what the Fed was doing? Almost none of them.
Yeah,
They took their easy refinance and their rate probably went from 5 or 6 to 3%, and they
yeah,
said, "Thank you, have a nice day." And they
yes,
continued existing in the home that they chose because
exactly.
they didn't wait for the conditions. They just
Nope.
bought the house that
When
they
they
planned
were
to buy.
ready in a position
Yeah,
financially to do so. Yeah,
exactly. And so if you're like real estate isn't just like the security blanket, it's also freedom.
yeah,
If you do it the right way, it is freedom for you to not be beholden to whatever the conditions are around you. If you've planned and if you've set your standards and you've executed accordingly, then you're good.
yeah,
You have that's your fortress to freaking solitude,
yeah,
man. Like that's regardless of the craziness, if there's a COVID lockdown, a real
yeah,
estate crash, like
yeah,
you've planned out your finances appropriately, you've budgeted, you live
yeah,
within your means, and like you and your family or just you and your dog,
yeah.
like are having a good time in your
It's your
purchase in
thing.
your
Yeah,
home,
yeah.
like
I hate it when people say though, "You don't own your home, the bank does." I'm like, "No, they don't.
the bank's name's not on the deed. My name
Bank
is.
doesn't own the home, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I could turn around and sell my house
Hmm.
today, and I'm
Yeah.
getting all the profit.
Yeah.
The bank don't get shit.
Well,
They get their payoff.
I mean,
You know,
exactly. And
whatever they lent me,
yeah,
but that's it.
I don't have to
So they
I
don't
don't
own anything."
and I don't have to call the bank to paint my house. I
Right.
don't have to call the bank to
Yeah.
put in a covered
I
porch
think it's just a
to
bad way to look at it, you know?
it's a cynical way to
It's a
look at it.
cynical way for
And
sure.
and I think that people get hung up on the technicality
Yeah.
of like there's a lien on your house the same way like you have a lien on your car.
Yeah.
Like is the goal to pay off your house and pay off your car and not have debt? Yeah,
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
How do you think you get there?
I'm
By
a mortgage lender, and I try to coach people on how to pay the debt off faster.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I lend them money, I help them get the financing,
yeah,
but I try to show them strategic ways to actually pay it off at a faster pace.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, and I'm the real estate agent. I make money when they sell their house and when they
Yeah,
buy their house. And
right.
every house that we look at, one of the facets is long-term appreciation in the event that, you want to stay here for a long period of time.
Right.
Is that one of the things? Right?
Yeah.
And can I, representing you as the buyer, pull every shred of meat off of that bone for you
Yeah.
so that you can walk into instant equity
Right.
so that paying it down that much easier.
Yeah. Easy. And
Mhm.
man, we are seeing, I'm going to tell you something too. And I keep the question we keep coming back to, why is it, why should I buy a home right now?
Mhm.
The last 3 months, especially, through this past winter, so probably the last 6 months, we have seen more sizable lender credits from
Mm.
sellers than I have ever seen before. I'm talking about massive, pay way more than the standard cost. So we
Even
got all this leftover
even new
money.
constructions.
What's that?
Even new constructions. We got one
Yes.
closing on the
New
4th.
construction. Yes. I've got
Mhm.
one right now, another new construction too. They have so much money left over from
Mhm.
the builder, that we're just going to use it to buy their rate down lower.
You
I
gotta
mean,
tell
they're
me
going
who
to
the
get,
builder is.
huh?
You gotta tell me who the builder is on that
Yeah,
one.
I
That's
will.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. I was like, man, they want to move this, and it just shows you like they want to move the property. It's a $500,000 house,
Yeah.
So again, we just talked about that pool is
Yeah.
lesser. So,
Were they
but
putting out that they get what, 15 grand?
what's that?
Is that 15 grand in
Yeah,
closing costs?
yeah. Yeah. It's
Spicy.
what they got, yeah,
And
and they did
what's
not need that
what's
much.
well, what's actually interesting though
'Cause they also
is
waived their escrow, so they didn't have for I mean, their cost yes, I mean, we got 5 grand to buy their rate down further,
but
and they
this
were
is
already getting
like
a pretty solid rate. I mean, it's a VA deal, so it's like
well, this is the interesting part too, and this is I'm gonna kind of try and like fluff you up a little bit, but for the agent negotiating that deal, right? They're probably used to a lender that needs $15,000 to close
I
that
think
thing.
that's what happened here.
And I gotta ask you about
Yeah,
this deal when we get off here, man,
yeah,
because I'm super curious. But this is the thing, and this is why. And obviously, we work together a lot.
yeah,
We're pretty tight. We've known each other for
yeah,
a while. So for the untrained eye, it can just seem like I'm trying to hook up my buddy.
yeah,
If I'm like, hey, talk to my boy Ryan, like
yeah,
he'll do a good job. It's easy to misconstrue that, and that's
yeah,
and that's
and
why
yeah,
I generally still encourage people to shop around, and it's probably still kind of annoying for you,
yeah,
but
very. Yeah,
but I do it for the plain reason of I tell everyone to do the same thing is, dude, pull the freaking numbers.
yeah,
Pull a sheet. Tell me
yeah,
what your closing costs are because 9 times out of 10, especially the way you run your business, you have a very like you charge what you charge and
yeah,
it's not greedy. And a lot of big box mortgage lenders like Veterans United
yeah, oh, yeah.
specifically.
They're
And
head
this
busted.
is this is the other thing that was actually kind of icky. Navy Federal. I saw one of their pullouts and
Yeah,
I was like, dude, this is whack. You guys are a credit union.
yeah,
You know, I get it if you're a big box retail
right,
mortgage lender, like got a
yeah.
lot of advertising overhead,
Over
dude.
exactly.
But at the same time, like, dude, Navy Federal banks like a freaking huge amount of the
They're
military.
preying on veterans, man.
Yeah,
I'm
and
telling you, all these companies are they're
yeah,
preying on them. I mean, I think
and
USAA does it too. I'm gonna throw names out there. Now, don't get me
USA
wrong. I know they
USA
can be competitive
USA
in cases on
USAA
insurance.
not even on insurance though.
I know. Lately, they have not
Yeah.
been.
You know who's actually came in clutch on the insurance bit lately? State Farm.
Really?
Yeah.
They're trying to get back into the market. They
Yeah.
went a little.
Shameless plug to Andrew Mullis. He
Yeah.
owns a real estate office, or not real
Nice.
estate. He owns the State Farm office.
Insurance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, insurance office here in
Yeah.
Louisville.
That's good.
Great work. But yeah, and especially when we're talking about those calculations with how far a home is from the firehouse,
Yeah.
he did a great job.
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah, so the back to the lender thing
yeah.
is not all lenders are created equal. Just because it's a VA home loan, like
Yeah.
veterans, you're not getting that money from the VA. The
Yeah.
VA is guaranteeing that money,
Yeah.
meaning that you can go to any lender to process a VA home loan,
Right.
provided their VA
Yeah.
home loan like approved. Um,
But if you're a standard veteran, you say, "Hey, this company's got the word veteran in their
yes,
name. They've
yes,
gotta be giving me the best deal. You
yes.
know, they're for me," which I
Hmm.
get that. If I'm a veteran, I would probably assume the same thing. Why would I think any different? So, to me,
So many
it's
people.
annoying that the
Hmm.
company takes that name and leverages it the way they do and
Yeah,
then
Veterans United
overcharges.
is not a veterans company.
Yeah.
They're not even a home loan company.
No, it's a
They're a
marketing firm.
they're a marketing
Yeah,
firm.
they sell leads. That was how
That's
they started. They
yeah.
started selling leads, selling
Hmm.
it to mortgage lenders and
Yeah.
said, "Hey, we should probably do mortgages. We're selling all these leads. Why don't we close the mortgages and
We
we can charge higher fees and make more money."
we're gonna have to put a pin in that
Yeah.
because next episode we're gonna talk about some icky stuff like
Yeah.
the relationship between lenders and real estate agents and
Yeah.
Zillow and all of the big. I think that's a whole episode in and
Yeah.
of itself is just like a lot of the where the devil in the details stuff in
Yeah.
real estate and where the money
But
comes
going back
from.
to what you said, like
Yeah.
I never knew that that perception was out there initially that, somebody, a consumer or client might think that you're sending somebody referring a client to me for because I'm, compensating you in some way. But I
Yeah.
think what people need to know is like that's illegal. Like
Yeah.
that is not legal. That's a RESPA violation. You could
Yeah.
get in huge trouble. You literally will lose your license for doing something like that or pay huge fines. But
Since
and
you have invoked the holy words of RESPA,
yeah.
what's a way around that for real estate agents and real estate firms and brokerage firms?
Around,
Monetary compensation.
I would imagine maybe I don't know. I don't know. I've never really
Think Zillow.
yeah.
what's not monetary compensation according to RESCA, but
Well, so
is.
here's how it is. I can't pay you for that transaction, but
Mm,
I could pay you a flat fee. This is how these other companies get around. They do it. It's an MSA, marketing
mhm,
service agreement. So
mhm.
I could say, hey, I'm going to pay you $1,000 a month.
Yeah,
Just send me all of your clients.
yeah.
That I can do. I just can't pay you per. So I
That
couldn't pay you
$1,000 a month
per the
has to be
transaction.
allocated to a specific advertisement, though.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah.
Who's the guilty party for that? For like who's the most blatant user of that loophole?
Who's the most blatant user? I
Yeah,
would say real estate.
Zillow Premier.
Oh, Zillow Premier. Okay.
Yeah, what platform uses that
On the real
loophole
estate.
in RESPA?
Gotcha.
Because so if yeah, and we'll probably get into those details
Yeah.
later, but like yeah, so lenders can't like he can't
Yeah.
like slide me 100
Right.
for a closing. That's illegal. But what lenders can do is say, "Hey bro, that banner, that billboard that you got, how much does that cost per
Yeah.
month? Can you like put this little like it doesn't have to be big, but it can
Right.
say like I'm a mortgage lender, blah blah blah,
Right.
on the corner or whatever, because now it's a joint marketing campaign. So if that billboard costs $1,000 a month, the lender can pay for up to half of that,
Yeah.
and that's legal.
Yeah.
And so that's the way around a lot of that is
Yeah.
that a lot of lenders are throwing dollars
Yeah.
at agents in
Yeah.
advertisement,
Right.
which
Yes,
is
exactly.
it's the
And I
same
guess
thing.
so, yeah. So, I mean, I would like to think that, but I know this doesn't happen. I would like to think though that if a real estate agent is referring their client to a specific lender, it's
Mhm.
not just for the money that's being paid. Like
It should never be for the money at
they
all.
want to ensure their client has a good
Yeah,
experience,
yeah.
and that's the way I see it. So when I look at, so like if you refer me a client,
Mhm.
even if they say, hey, I'm working with this ABC lender out of town, like
Yeah.
you say, hey, I want you to talk to my guy, not because I'm compensated, because you got to look at me as the surgeon here,
Mhm.
and this guy is the anesthesiologist. I don't want to get your mother's brother's friend who's an anesthesiologist to
Am I
come
the
over.
anesthesiologist or are you the
You're the
anesthesi
surgeon, I'm the
Oh,
anesthesiologist, right? So if you're the surgeon, right,
I'm
in this
I'm the
case,
hot nurse.
huh? Yeah. So you want to ensure this experience goes well. You want to go with the anesthesiologist that you know and trust,
Yeah,
right? In that scenario.
yeah.
And so you say, "Hey, I want you a guy because I know the experience you're going to get when I refer you to this guy." And so
Mhm.
that's why I would say, so I never knew that people, I just assumed most clients probably assume, okay, if this realtor is referring me to this guy, it's probably because he knows this person is going to provide a good experience for me.
Most
So,
people that we work with
yeah,
do have that belief of
right,
like, he's the guy, and usually I will lay out the types of lenders before I do a
right.
referral. Because this is the thing too, full disclosure, do you and I advertise on Zillow? Do we take Zillow leads?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do we pay money for Zillow leads?
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
but it's
Because
a
that's where buyers go, and
yeah.
yeah.
Do we share marketing costs?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Does that impact my ability to have a objective referral basis with clients and lenders?
I wouldn't think so.
No.
Yeah,
Has every single Zillow lead that has come through my system been closed by you?
probably not.
Definitely not.
Yeah,
And have they been closed by other lenders? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
I think that the point there is that I think there's an ethical way for lenders and real estate agents to coexist. I mean, we've
yeah,
been working together for a long time,
yeah,
and we probably will continually work together for a
right.
really long time. But I think that setting the standard of that relationship and disclosing the nature of that relationship,
Mhm.
from the very beginning, so that the client can make an informed decision,
Right.
and so that, you know, I obviously don't go into the nuances of
Yeah,
Zillow Premier with
right.
all of our
It's
clients and like our
unnecessary.
no,
Yeah,
it's not. But like but the nature of the relationship is always known. Like I know Ryan, we've known each other for a
yeah,
long time. I would consider him a good friend.
yeah.
Now,
I
just
know the
because
experience that my clients are gonna have when he uses them too.
yeah, well, because also, where did I get my home loan?
Yeah, that too. Yeah,
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 like you actually did my home loan. So,
right.
you're the only lender in town that I can, talk about on that level
Yeah,
of like, no, like this is what it looks like in Flowify.
Right.
This is what the email is going to look like because I
Yeah.
went through the whole process. I
Right.
know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I've seen the lender process for, I think, almost every major lender, like the guaranteed rates, the Veterans
Yeah.
United, the Navy Federals, the Rocket
Right.
Mortgages, the all of the
All the big
other
ones that
all
do,
and
yeah,
even all the
big
local
bucks.
offices. I
Yeah.
think I've had
Yeah.
a deal with almost every single local office, I think with the exception of one.
Yeah.
And like it's not, I mean, it's still not even close.
Yeah.
And so when we're referring clients, like all of my people that I'll tee up is basically like, okay, so we got to talk with a lender.
Right.
Um, the lender that I work with the most is Ryan Wheeler. He does this work really, really well, and here's why. I know that for a fact because not only do I have never heard negative feedback from any of my clients that work with him, but I also got my home loan through him
Yeah.
too. So it's a more personal referral because I'm basically a past client,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and I think that that allows me to remain fairly objective, even though we can still do co-marketing
Yeah.
campaigns and
Right.
still like allow our businesses to like
Right.
embark on joint ventures,
Sure.
but that doesn't muddy the waters when it comes to
Right. Yeah.
fiduciary duty.
Yeah.
And I think that making that, discernment when you're in real estate and when you're coaching up clients
Yeah.
is I think that's really, really important.
Yeah, yeah, no, you're right, man. Because I'm sure there are probably real estate agents that work with lenders that are compensating them, but they may deep down in their back of their mind know that might not be the best experience for the client, but
Yeah.
because they're compensating for our marketing,
Yeah.
we got to send these deals to them, which that's kind of gross and unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or there's
So,
a pre-existing business relationship between the brokerage um and the mortgage lender.
yeah,
Like, because there are big box real estate brokerages
yeah,
that own mortgage companies.
right.
Now, there's also builders that own mortgage companies.
Yeah.
D.R. Horton, one of the biggest ones out there, they do all of their own in-house financing.
Hmm.
Read the freaking
Several of them do.
read yeah,
Yeah.
read the
Most of them
paperwork.
do, because they
Yeah.
know
Mhm.
they want full control,
Yeah.
yeah, ultimately.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and some of those are a little bit different, I feel like, but if you're a real estate agent and you're getting all your marketing paid for, so you're sending it to this particular lender because of that only, not because you think that they provide a good service,
Yeah.
that is that is unfortunate, you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Or any
Um,
vendor, like insurance
yeah,
or, like
yeah.
a contractor, a
Right,
plumber, or
yeah,
electrician.
exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
any kind of relationship, it's like, dude, just for the financial compensation, not because you want your client to have the best experience. That is that I won't say it's, I mean, I guess it is unethical,
It is.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
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 unethical, but it's also like, dude, aren't you in this for the long game? Like, don't
yeah.
you want your client to ensure they have the best experience so that then you guys get more referrals,
Yeah.
right? You know?
Ethics are there to kind of like help us stay within the
Yeah.
bumpers of like right and wrong, but also staying within your like professional ethics is also probably one of the easiest ways to continually make money at a high level
Absolutely.
because the product you like as a real estate agent, like your product is literally trust.
Yeah.
I I
Agreed.
I train my new agents on this all the time when it comes to like, all right, how do we do this?
Right.
We don't sell houses.
Yeah.
We really don't sell anything, but if we had to sell something, we sell security.
Yeah.
We sell trust and confidence. We sell a process and a
Information,
and a
guidance. Yeah.
security blanket and a coat of armor for all of our people to
Right.
navigate this. And if you soil that with a short-term couple of bucks, like,
Yeah.
cool, you made an extra 3 grand. Big freaking whoop, dude.
Right.
Like, who cares?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you play somebody with, yeah, I mean, because they're looking at, and this is why the realtor, they have so much control in the transaction because, like you said, they go to you first. When
Yeah.
people are looking for homes, they don't go, for whatever reason, they don't go to the mortgage guy first. They just look at homes, they talk to a real estate
Yeah.
agent. Now
They don't
like
go
you
to the
said,
mortgage guy first because they start with words like quantitative.
yeah, yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Touche.
You gotta
But
dumb it
yeah,
down.
yeah,
You gotta
so
be like, "What up, dude?"
yeah, so and so now you have this control, you have that trust, like you
Mhm.
said, and now they're
Yeah.
looking to you for their guidance. This is why, most of them will probably utilize, a mortgage lender. But you know how I know when something is soiled is like I'll get somebody will go to online, they'll search and they'll find us. We got more 5-star Google reviews than any lender in our
Mhm.
area,
Yeah.
right? And so they'll
We'll
just
get
do
there
a Google
someday.
search, so we'll pull up,
Yeah.
in there, and they'll just call us, right? And
Mhm.
like, hey, yeah, I was working with this lender, and they were referred to me by this other real estate agent that I'm working with, but I talked to them and it's not working out. And
Yeah.
so they'll call me, and it's just like, and don't get me wrong, man. I know personalities can clash. Mine might clash with somebody. So I
Yeah.
don't want to say, but it's just like, you just wonder in those circumstances, like, are they placing you with the best, or is that just because there's some sort of, so I get why maybe there might be some cynicism maybe with consumers. I just never thought of it before because we don't look at our business that way.
Well,
You know what I mean?
most
Like I look
consumers
at my
don't even
business
know
that I
that
want to
those
do the
channels
best.
exist.
Huh?
Most consumers don't know that those channels exist.
Probably not.
Like, the only I think the
You
most
don't think consumers are thinking, oh, maybe this guy's giving this guy a kickback or something.
I don't think they think that deep into it. I think
Yeah.
they think, if anything, just the homie hookup.
Yeah.
I think it's the good old boy especially
Yeah.
where we are in Kentucky, like,
Yeah.
the good old boy system
Right.
still reigns supreme. It's who you know. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, though, like, it is, but it isn't, because, like, yeah, am I good old boying them to you? Meaning,
Yeah.
like, hey, this is the guy that I trust,
Right.
which is really the basis of the good old boy
Yeah.
system. Like, it benefits them
Absolutely.
because they're, for a consumer that may not know where to start for the mortgage process, especially a veteran, they just may get sucked in and harvested by the,
Yeah.
like, large meat grinder that is Veterans United
Right.
or Rocket
Yeah.
Mortgage, right? And so they would have never made it to you.
Right.
They just needed to know a guy who knows a guy.
Yeah.
And I think that it's kind of like a funny expression, like, I know a guy. But I think it's kind of like a sacred thing.
It
Like, if you
definitely is.
know a guy,
Yeah.
like, he better be the guy,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely. And we
And
take that so seriously. Like
yeah,
that's been my thing from day one,
yeah,
like with our team and house,
mhm,
like, dude, if a real estate agent is referring us a client,
yeah,
that is a reflection of them.
yeah,
Literally. You know
yeah,
what I mean? So we have to treat it as such like
mhm,
that. We have to know that we're just essentially a reflection, an extension of
mhm,
them
yeah,
and an extension of their, even though we're separate businesses,
yeah,
so if we do something poorly, that's going to
yeah,
look poorly on them.
because my
And
name's attached to it,
yeah, and
you know?
that is not how we wanna operate.
Yeah,
We want to be we want to be the extension of you that they
mhm,
go back and say, "Thank you for hooking me up with him, man."
yeah,
Like, and then all that does, because what that does, man, that create to me, like, I've never looked at the dollars. They just come because
yeah,
you look at the relationships, and you don't look at these things as transaction. You say, "Hey, I'm hooking this client up. We're gonna take good care of you." And
mhm,
then I do expect something out of you. I expect you to, hopefully, anytime somebody brings up the word mortgage or real estate,
yeah,
you bring my name up.
yeah,
That's all I ask of you,
yeah.
and
How
that's it. And so,
how many clients have you helped me, like, stay in touch with and stay on when it comes to the organizational side
yeah,
of things, like when people are ready to show or people
yeah.
are encountering a certain thing? Like,
Oh, I
that's
know.
dozens at
Yeah,
this point, like dozens and
yeah,
dozens. And so that's that's just the other thing. It's a synergistic relationship. But
yeah,
and from the real estate agent perspective, it's not just the mortgage lending side that people are asking for referrals on.
yeah.
And for any of
Oh,
the real
yeah, I
estate
know.
agents out there, or like the consumer that's kind of on the outside looking in, like, real estate agents know where to go.
Right.
They really do.
Yeah,
Like, if there's an active real estate agent, maybe not a newbie or like a Uber driver real estate
yeah,
agent who's just a part-time gig, but like somebody who's repping out multiple transactions
right,
every month, like, they know what title company to use.
right,
They know what mortgage company does the best work. They
right.
know what insurance agent's going to get the best quote and
Yep.
get it out there quickly so we don't miss closing deadlines. They know what home inspector is going to do the most thorough inspection, and
Right.
they know what home inspector is going to tank a deal just because he thinks he's Jesus.
Yeah,
Like, the agents know this stuff. And for any agent that is like, "Oh, well, I can't really," we
yeah.
know.
I
We
know.
know who's going to do a good job and who
Right. So
doesn't.
with that said, let me pause you there. So
Yeah.
that's when I get to this thing where that drives me nuts with real estate agents when they say, "I'm going to give you 3 names for each of these things." Why would you do that when you know there's one that is absolutely better than the other?
It's an antiquated rule.
It is, and it's not, and people think it's like some sort of actual real rule, like it's
No, it's not.
required. It's absolutely not.
No,
Absolutely not. So,
no.
like, if you know the best home inspector,
Mhm.
you know the best title company, you know the best lender, like,
Yeah,
why wouldn't you point somebody to the best and say, "Hey, I can give you a list of 3 names for
yeah.
each of these things." I realize what it is. To me, that is just a way. What I realize that is that's a way to just deflect any responsibility because you're afraid of the outcome.
Yes, and I think a
And
lot
so
of
it's like, well, if they
what did
messed
we
up,
talk
you chose one of the three. I don't know what to tell you. I gave
back
you three names.
back to the whole thing,
Yeah,
fear.
yeah,
It is a driver of bad decisions, and it's a driver of like poor decision making
yeah,
because real estate agents are afraid that it's going to come back on them. Well, if
yeah.
you're afraid that it's going to come back on them, maybe you should vet your people harder.
Right.
And like and from the day one of like training day when we're getting new office staff in and I'm sitting down in the conference room and I'm like, okay, this is how we work. We
Right.
work with these people.
Yeah.
Okay. Why do we work with them? Is it because we love them? Because we see them on Christmas? Because they're our best friend? Absolutely not. We work with them because they are performing at the top of their class.
Right.
Top of the food chain vendors are the people that we work with, not just because it's the best clientele or the
Right.
best for the clientele. It's because we're at the top of the food chain.
Yeah.
Like, and
You're,
I'm
you
going to
want to
accept,
provide a predictable experience.
yes,
Yeah.
like all of our agents are going to be held to a high standard. It's the
Yeah.
same standard that I hold myself to. And
Right.
so with that, are we going to work with somebody who doesn't care as much as we do and who
Right.
is not going to put forth the same amount of effort, not just during the transaction, but outside of the transaction to polish and perfect their craft?
Yep.
No. Like I'm not going to do it. I'm not in
No.
going to good conscience hear you say X mortgage lender or X insurance
Right.
like company and be like, "Oh yeah, I was thinking about that." And I'm like, "Hey man, like if that's your boy, that's your boy. I'm not going
Yeah.
to like drag
Sure.
them." But at the same time, like I would maybe get two
Yeah.
opinions
Yeah.
because, and or if it's just god awful,
Yeah.
I'm I'm just going to tell you it's god awful. And
Yeah.
and if
Well,
that
because you're trying to save. I mean, at the end of the day, though, you kind of are. Because think about it. If let's say they go with some online lender who you
yeah.
know is got a high probability to drop the
Mhm.
ball,
Yeah.
miss your closing date.
Mhm.
This stuff happens, man. People miss closing dates, and if you're in a competitive market, you miss a closing date. Let's say this seller got a backup offer from somebody that's gonna
Mhm.
pay him more for the
Yeah.
house. You miss that closing date, they may just say, "Hey, man, sorry you lost the house. I'm taking this backup offer."
That's a little less common. I'll
Yeah,
tell you what is more common though, and this is a Navy Fed thing, the fees.
yeah,
When how accurate are you with closing costs plus or minus like inside of $1,000 generally?
yeah. Can be unless we're off on the insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's just say lender fees.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
isolate closing
Oh,
costs to lender
absolutely,
fee.
yeah.
How are you
Within
probably
10%, yeah,
yeah, easily.
yeah.
I mean, I have seen and because but for people that haven't bought a house
Yeah.
before, people that maybe not remember, 3 days before closing, at least, is when the buyer gets their closing disclosure
Mhm.
statement, meaning that's the big bank statement, that's the
Yeah,
big balance sheet that has
yeah.
where all the money's going, where the money's
Right.
coming from, meaning there's a title prep fee, there's a lender fee, there's an underwriting fee, there's
Every
all
penny
of
is
every penny
accounted
is
for.
accounted for on your closing disclosure statement. Most people glance at it and look at the big number on the bottom, and they're
Mhm.
like, "Good." Don't do that. Read the whole thing.
Yep.
Same thing with real estate agents. If you're a real estate agent and you just check to make sure your commission's right, shame on you. Read the
Yeah.
whole thing. Um,
But if you get to that stage and you're already working with ABC, some like you said, this other ABC lender,
yeah.
and you got the closing disclosure, ain't much you can do at that point.
Well, yeah,
If they're getting
because
screwed, they're
yeah.
already getting screwed. They're
Hmm.
railroad. They should have started in the right place. But
Well, it's
I
just
you guess you could know for your future knowledge,
but it
but
just
I
it
don't know
just
that you can
throws
change it.
it throws everything off. Like
Yeah.
there's like Navy Fed things that come out and the fees are just
Yeah.
and they're not and it's not because the insurance was wrong. It's not because they didn't do property taxes right. It's
Yeah.
because that they throw out these really loosely constructed estimates. So, I
Yeah.
mean, Veterans United does it too. It's just Navy Fed
Yeah.
was the most
It
recent
is.
offender
Yeah.
of that.
If we could
And
leave escrows off of ours every time, we would
mhm,
nail ours. Like we would be so close every time within $100 or so. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
it's
Like
super
it's
tight.
just the escrow is the only piece. That and the prepaids based on when you close.
Yeah.
That's really the only
Yeah,
variable
but the
piece.
prepaids are predictable based because I mean you're half the time you're going to lock the interest rate when you put it
Yeah.
under,
Yeah.
meaning like interest rates go up and down
Right.
with the day, right?
Right.
So
So
when
we would
you,
lock it in for a
hmm
30-day window or
hmm
whatever takes us through
yeah,
our
and so you're going to know
anticipated.
your
Yeah.
per diem interest
Yeah.
based off of that. So
Yeah.
that's super
Yeah.
predictable. And I guess I'm just saying like, yes, the whole pushing closing date.
Yeah.
Everyone hates pushing closing. It's a huge pain in the
Right.
butt. that's super doable, especially in this market. It's
Yeah,
way easier to
it's
navigate.
doable. Nobody wants to do it. You may not
No,
lose a house in this market
no,
in that scenario, but
no, but
you just still don't want to do it. Like it's
no.
a bad look, and to me it creates a bad experience for you as a buyer. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like here we are, like I don't know what's going on. I don't know.
Hmm.
Are we closing today? Closing
Yeah.
tomorrow? It creates all this unnecessary anxiety. There's
Yeah.
already a lot of anxiety. If everything goes perfect,
Yeah.
there's still anxiety. You know what
It's
I
like
mean?
the real estate transaction as it gets closer to the closing table, it
Yeah.
turns into the biggest Mexican standoff you've ever seen in
Yeah.
your life because it's like real estate agent or it's like buyer, seller, real estate agent, title, and everybody's like, and you're like,
Yeah.
are we gonna do it? Are we gonna
Yeah.
go? Are we gonna close?
I know, man.
And it's
Yeah.
bro, we're gonna close.
Yeah.
It's fine. We did the homework.
Yeah.
You know exactly what's happening. Now, if someone is hell bent on using some off the wall lender, like
Yeah, if they're
you
hell-bent
may
on it,
get
what are you gonna do?
you may get a freaking curveball.
Yeah,
Like
and all you can do is if you I mean, I think as a realtor, as long as you covered that up front, like, "Hey, man, if you go with them,
Mhm,
it could really it could potentially cause you to have a bad experience."
mhm.
I really don't want that because even though they're not a extension of me, your bad experience may not like, you may not be as likely to talk, good to your friends and family about the good experience you had buying a home.
Yeah,
That means it's less likely I'm gonna, be referred even though I
yeah,
did a good job for you, the
yeah,
lender's the one that dropped the ball. But I don't want that. I want you to have a good overall experience, and this
and
is why I want to try to guide you to the better options,
and even in transactions where they're gonna stick with, say, the
Yeah,
online lender
right.
because they want
But
it.
if you had that talk and they stuck with them, you covered your bases.
But your job doesn't end there as a real estate agent,
Yeah.
because first off, you still gotta find them a freaking house.
Yeah.
But the other thing is though, is that even if like, and this is the thing to other real estate agents out there, is that if you are having people that are working with other outside vendors that you may not prefer,
Right.
lean into it.
Yeah.
Like
Don't be scared.
well, not just be scared, don't be petty, don't be
Yeah.
stubborn. If they've made the decision, yeah, okay, lean into the client's decision,
Yeah.
but understand, like you set the table for yourself, even if you know that they made a poor choice.
Right.
You know what's coming,
Right.
so prepare. You
Yeah.
can smooth over so many of those things, whether it's an incorrect quote sheet and you're like,
Yeah.
run that back, make sure that that's
Yeah.
right. Make sure that that's not going to change.
Yeah.
And if so, like after the deal gets sent to
Yeah.
underwriting, run it again.
Yeah.
And if you got a contract on a house
Yeah.
and you send it to the lender to initiate, make sure you confirm when that appraisal gets ordered
Yeah.
instead of just being like, they'll do it when they do it.
Yeah.
And so like take a more
That's wild to
active.
me that lenders don't notify everybody though.
No,
That's crazy.
I
We
mean,
notify every party.
the
Sellers,
only
buyers,
we
the
had one.
buyer's agents, all the or the I don't mean the sellers, but the seller's agent, you know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Well, the one that we had on Yorkshire, we didn't know. Probably shouldn't have said Yorkshire because now everyone's gonna know. But I'm just kidding. But the one a deal that I had at an address that will remain nameless. The no one knew. The only reason we knew that the appraisal had been ordered and picked up and scheduled was because I was the listing agent and
They called
my
you.
agent was the
Oh,
buyer's agent.
yeah.
And he's like, I don't know. And I got the freaking request on showing time for the
Yeah.
appraiser
I'm
to
about to
get
say the
access.
listing agent knows because
Yeah.
the appraiser reached out
And I was
or,
like,
you know.
golly,
Yeah.
man, like, geez. And I
Yeah.
mean, so
Yeah. That
like
stuff's
if you're an agent and your people are still kind of like, nah, we're still want to, okay, so just lean into it.
right.
You know what to expect. Get on your game
You're gonna have to
and
do more work.
you're gonna have to do more work.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just gotta work for it, man.
Yeah.
Suck it up, take care of your
Yeah.
people,
And we
even if
definitely do not want that for our real estate partners. We don't want to create more work for you. The
Mhm,
way that I see it is if we can have take less work, those
mhm,
things off of your plate and make sure you know what's going on. You're not because I mean, if I'm a real estate, I'm just putting myself in your shoes. Like if I was a real estate agent, I don't want to be nursing my pipeline. I
mhm.
want to be looking for new business, new
Yeah,
clients that I can help.
yeah.
I've now entrusted them with my lending partner.
Mhm,
They're going to let me know what's going on every
yeah,
step of the way. If something with the property comes up, repairs, obviously I got to take care of that. But for the most part, I want to be forward looking. I want to
mhm,
look for new clients I can help. I want new, buyers, new sellers. And if I've got it with a trusted lender, I'm going to know what's going on all the time. I don't
mhm.
have to be nursing the clients that I've got in the pipeline,
Yeah,
that are in process,
that's exactly
So
right.
Yeah, man. So that and I guess my point of that is like real estate agents when they're guiding a client, a potential client, a buyer to a lender, I think that the buyers out there got to know like there is a reason for that. It's not just a they want to. I
Yeah.
think most of them want to probably
There
ensure you have a good experience.
yeah, there's a rhyme and a reason to it
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Like, especially in our office with everything that we're doing, there's
Yeah.
a rhyme and a reason for
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. We got a lot more to get off our chest. So,
Yeah.
and
Next
to
episode.
help. I mean, that's what the intent of this is, man, is just to help bring awareness to buyers and make this a
Mhm.
little bit less scary. So hopefully two guys in the industry that are talking shop can help
Yeah.
buyers feel a little less freaked out by all this stuff. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So,
Mhm. Next episode, we got a special guest.
do we?
Yeah, we do.
Who?
S special guest, surprise. You gotta
Surprise for
stay
me
tuned.
too?
I mean, I think we've talked about him.
Okay.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
definitely. Yeah, it'll be a
Okay.
surprise and it'll be
Yeah.
kinda neat.
Yeah.
And then at some point in the future, we'll probably get into kind of the icky stuff. Maybe
Yeah.
some
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 stories.
not necessarily I would really wanna do a deep dive on Zillow.
Okay.
As just
I'm
kinda like
always down
just
to
because how that works, because it's such a consumer facing
I know,
thing,
and
and when
everybody
people need to
uses it.
know.
Everybody uses it. It's a household name now. If you think about searching
Yeah,
for homes online, you think about going to Zillow,
yeah.
and I
People need to know.
dislike that strongly.
Ryan
Yeah,
Ryan has read the minutes
yeah,
of the Zillow group meetings
yeah. I
from
read
like,
the
because it's a
board
publicly
minutes.
traded
Yeah,
company. You used to read the board minutes.
yeah,
Um,
because it's public record. You can go
mhm.
out there and find them and
Yeah,
see what they're talking about and what
yeah,
they're meeting about, and they're quite diabolical.
yeah. It's like, yeah, it's pretty
Yeah,
bad. But until
cool.
next time,
Yep, we'll
thanks for stopping
wrap.
by.
All
There we go.
right, cool. Been
See you,
real.
bud.
Peace.
Peace.